Here we go, guys. We got Spoit and Comrades versus Dark Zero, Beaulo's old team, for a chance to qualify for the Munich Major in November in Germany. Big game at hand. BO3 Lab Chalet Cafe. I don't know. Dark Zero's been looking kind of dicey and spicy in group stages in Shopify. I mean, they got Spoit. What can you say? I don't know who's gonna win. What do you guys think? Make sure to drop a like and comment below on who you guys think is gonna win this game before the game is over. I am fat.
Dark Zero did something very interesting in some of the Night Havens they played, in which NJR will, or sorry, I think it's actually Citizen. Citizen will play Nomad, and what they'll do is they'll put him around IT, and he'll put air jabs on the inner door. That way, for example, if a Clash tries to walk in and retake that position, they'll get knocked down. Instead of using the air jab strictly for flank watch, they'll use it to kind of create little pockets directly next to the site that they can push into and deny any defender from retaking, like, in their face. Shopify banning out the Nomad, which is a key part of many of DZ's strategies or attacks, including for this site in particular. And shocker, Dark Zero, anticipating that, likely banned the Clash for that reason.
It's first Aurora of today, by the way, or did my eyes deceive me earlier on and I just didn't see it? Perfect. Not a lot of Zofia today either, as she still struggles to find her place in the meta. Haven't really seen a lot of great Aurora strats in my days. There have been a couple good ones, but I find a lot of times she either dies early or the execute's going off so well you don't really need her. A very strong operator in the right hands and given the right execute can completely demolish any chance of a retake. DZ have already opened up this IT wall, and we're hoping for somebody on Shopify Rebellion to peek out. Nobody will give them that, so they have to go back to the drawing board, which is the other exterior wall.
And be taking a lot of damage through seemed to be that drone hole. The smoke grenade going through. Curious if Citizen will follow up with some doors placed on some of these positions. Pamazu hops in. Good way to get him activated. Kind of taking a page out of Ashen's book. You can sometimes get aggressive with that glass on the smoke. Ooh, the Canadian with a great C4 goes down early. Well, that's a very nice position for Spirits to find right around the corner. Somehow, I think that nade actually fell through the hole in the floor, and as a result, or maybe Canadian takes a lot of HP damage in the process. Either way, whatever occurs, none of it's going well for Dark Zero, who have lost the IT push, then rebuffed from Electrical, and now flood into Connector, where there is a direct line into the site, as Shopify have not had time to reinforce it. But still, the broader site is in the hands of Shopify, and Dark Zero at the moment are only pushing from one direction.
And you've got the Rebellion right now, all tucked together, just patiently waiting for this Blackbeard to give them something. Spirit's quite adept with the shield, so he's not one to make many mistakes on these rolls. It's going to get quite claustrophobic in there for this defense on the side of the Rebellion. Spirit's taking even more damage now. Ambient Canadian living on borrowed time. Canadian the only player on the side of Shopify Rebellion with a kill. 30 seconds remain. There goes the door, closing off Rafters, and a sweep through as Knave looks to exploit it. Rexon and Spoit finding a kill apiece. Rexon gets another surf on the board. Ambi, the only player on the Rebellion not to get a kill in that round. And a very quick dog pile onto the attackers will give Shopify Rebellion the round.
I think that's actually a pretty good example of why Aurora can be a very good idea in theory, but not really be as helpful as you otherwise think. Because in that case, to be clear, I think that is a perfectly fine door. You want to push up IT, there's two angles you have to worry about. When you actually swing inside of the site, as we saw Citizen or Nate do, but also the garage single door, but somebody can peek you from. So he blocks off that door, allows him to push up. Totally fine. Then, of course, you still have to actually, like, peek into the site, and unfortunately, that roar door alone was not enough to kind of make the attack sufficient, because while you have somebody who's able to push up to IT, you still have players stuck in Connector, you still got a guy stuck behind a Kiva in Electrical, and then because of that door, you're just stuck in IT. The defenders are already looking at that door anyway. They're ready for it, as we clearly saw Shopify were. So I think that's a good example of, like, Roar does add something. That was a good play, but there was a lot more going wrong, and Roar's just not one of those operators that is usually sufficient to make the attack work.
I did like that they isolated that rafters, but I mean, there are so many ways to get back into the bomb site. Once you take that IT and look through the doorway into the bomb site, you have to win your engagement right away, or else the defenders will have time to get into that position. That's exactly what happened with Shopify Rebellion. They had 2 players on the ground. It's a very quick entry to clear out the roam now. Upstairs, as Spirits is off to the races, 2 rounds in a row where he will rock the Blackbeard. Everybody else on DZ is swapped up the ops. DZ is a team where I expect to see a shield pretty much every round. That's just the way that they play. They've got at least 2 players who can toss out a shield if need be. And all of the shields are available. Shopify Rebellion banned out the Thermite and the Nomad, so if need be, Blitz and Monty are very much on the board. Dare I mention the Fuse shield?
I mean,
I choose not to.
nowadays you have to. It's a thing.
It shouldn't be a thing.
Well, fortunately for you, it is. Smart for Shopify, by the way, to rotate back so quickly, especially hearing that Blackbeard stomping around the corner. Also be good information right now as Spoit can calm that Spirits. The Blackbeard is at bottom Aqua. And wherever that Blackbeard is, you can imagine that there's going to be somebody with him to be an extra gun in case he doesn't have the option to ADS. A lot of pressure being applied to Spoit, in fact, around this electrical position. But it can always be a little tricky. He doesn't necessarily have to peek, and then he's got the defender on the stairs supporting him. Citizen finding an engagement onto Ambi early will be great. We've also got one around the corner, and Dark Zero's intel game, not quite enough.
Canadian finds yet another kill. It's been a good day for the supports, both in the earlier match and now here too. But my goodness, Shopify Rebellion watching as Spirits deflects all those bullets. Now it's a flank from Spoit. Bided his time, waited ever so patiently. DZ has lost control of the bomb site. Spoit and Canadian sharing the same room here in Toronto and now share the same circumstance. Nave gets finished off by Spoit at the last second. DZ not watching. That's Diffuser surrendered as well. Canadian has to survive that blast as the Blackbeard charges on in. The bionic arm not able to connect with the shield of the Blackbeard. Spoit takes out NJR, and now it's Spirits. Spirits in a 1v2. Spoit with 4 kills. Canadian will find a third, and look at that. A beautiful building on King Street, if my eyes show me. They play out of the Shopify Rebellion headquarters. Excellently done by the Rebellion as they go up 2-0.
An excellent recovery. I mean, so much credit has to be given to Spoit there. I don't think you could have played that whole round better if you were Spoit, because I mentioned that this position can be difficult to clear because while the defender is like right in front of Aqua double door, he's trapped by the window, cutting him off. It should be so easy. Yet there is a little bit of a he can thread a little bit of a needle so long as he has somebody in kitchen playing. And Canadian getting that trade on Citizen is big, because if Canadian also falls, Spoit is completely pinched. There's nowhere for him to go. But because Canadian wins that fight, Spoit can play there for longer. And then because the attack fully commits to pushing down the stairs, they've kind of let him slip by. They've let him get into a position where he can hop down, bide his time, get Nafe on the diffuser. But, of course, I did start this by giving a lot of credit to Spoit. It's also the case where if Canadian does not get that trade, that round probably, through a whole different chain of events, goes Dark Zero's way if Canadian doesn't get that kill early on, because of the pressure Spoit would then be under.
A heat sink between these 2 players, by the way. 7 of the 10 kills on the side of Shopify Rebellion in the hands of just 2 players. DZ's offense right now sputtering. The best offensive weapon on the side of DZ through this stage is Citizen, who entered with 87 kills. The only player above 100 kills at the start of today was Adam on the side of OXG. A number of players very, very close. Citizen will almost certainly get their. Surf on the other side had 90, Spoit with 89. So these are 3 players to watch, as they will likely all accrue 100 kills by the end of this best of 3. Spoit's already 4 on the way there. He's 7 back of 100. Canadian and Nafe have been at the bottom of their respective teams, and as the leaders, team captains, IGLs, etc., that is to be expected. Their stats are very similar, and a fun little quirk between these teams, Lynx. Both of them have played exactly 105 rounds through stage 2. So literally exact same amount of rounds played. So the numbers should give you a pretty good idea of where they are at. NJR and Citizen are, well, Spirits is technically positive as well, but he plays sheltered minutes, so low kills, low deaths. He survives an awful lot when the team loses, which stands to reason given his role. He'll be on the Blitz this time around, and he was a very crucial part of a almost win in the previous round on that Blackbeard. Spoit will start things off, gunning down Pambazoo, who's had a dreadful beginning. Spoit on the run, Nate finishes that off, so there is a trade, but Pambazoo 0-3 is not the start that DZ had hoped for.
No, especially since he's the main source of Vert. Kind of strange, all things considered, that Pamba decides to go for the sledge instead of, if you want to go kind of within the building to buck, but Ram is extremely common on this site, and also an operator Pambazoo's brought this stage and this game and is currently unbanned, because instead of having to hop in, you could just sit outside the window, throw the boogie drones in. Of course, they were trying to get a handle on Spoit's position, which that's an operator he plays an awful lot on this site. It's always going to be difficult to pinch, and I think the positions were good, but Spoit is clearly a bit too slippery for Dark Zero today. Cannot get their hands on him, and right now struggling to find control of the site as well. Minimal vertical now that Pambazoo's gone down. Shopify retreating into the site itself. It's going to be a real difficult challenge for Dark Zero to pull this off, especially with most of their execute utility being gone.
The Spirits is still up, so you've still got a shield to lead the way in, and when it comes to violence, DZ is able to meet Shopify Rebellion at their best. Down goes NJR at the hands of Ambi, who's now on the run. That's his first kill through these 3 rounds. Getting Ambi on the board early is good. He'll be finished off, though, by DZ as they double up. Desperately running out of time. Nafe getting Diffuser down, serve as last man standing. He guns away Citizen, and now just needs to stop that Diffuse kit from going, but he doesn't have intel. He can't get to it in time. A ring around the Rosie. Citizen bleeding out. Spirits and Nafe still upright. He'll see the shield. Surf completely blinded. Nafe credited with the kill, but the Blitz instrumental in that. Spirits gets no points for it, except for an assist. DZ on the board after 3 rounds.
No way, shape, or form should that round be going to Dark Zero. They've got no vertical, no time, barely any angles or positions to speak of. And yet, if you could just shoot your opponent and start the fight quicker than they can react, you're able to win those rounds. And I think there's a very good reason why Dark Zero are still taking a tactical timeout, I think, given, maybe not actually. No, they are. I was gonna say, not at all shocked that they'll be taking a tactical timeout off the back of it, because that entire round.
DZ has been one of the most successful teams in NA. It was talked about before the playoffs began that Dark Zero has yet to miss a regional playoff since they made their debut, what, 5 years ago at this point?
Something like that.
One of the most consistent teams in the entire history of this esport. They won a major when Canadian was on that team, back when NJR, Pambazoo was on it as well. These long-standing players, major winners. But as of late, this iteration of Dark Zero has not been without its challenges. This is their map. It's a very favorable map for them. Shopify Rebellion are 0-2 this stage on the map, so DZ should be in great shape. But obviously not loving the start if they have to call a timeout so early. They got to turn things around quickly because you do not want to lose this map and then go to Chalet down in numbers. One thing Shopify Rebellion's been really good at, Lynx, is drawing first blood, and they'll do it again. Down goes Citizen. Spoit continuing his great day as he's amassed 6 kills so far.
Demos going down on second floor is also going to make things problematic. Remember how last time Dark Zero were pushing one-dimensionally? Well, the angle they were pushing was electrical. And what you bring the Demos for is, of course, to apply pressure from below, but usually it's to pressure a player playing with a shotgun close around the corner, which is where Canadian was playing last time and could easily retake that position currently. However, there's a development I really quite like for Dark Zero. We see the Ying enter the fray now that the ban phase has transpired, but specifically Pambazoo bringing it. This is one of those operators he just has not played as much. One, with it being banned often, and 2, Spirits kind of taking that role. I like seeing him with these Candelas. When he was in his prime, it was when he got to, well, use the LMG in that case, but the shotgun right now and the auto pistol in his secondary. This could be really, really exciting, even in the disadvantage.
There goes some fire, and the Surya Gates also slowing DZ's advance down. The 2 major fraggers on the side of DZ, historically, NJR and Pambazoo, yet to get on the board. We're a minute left in round 4, well over 10 minutes into this match. Both of them still held off of the scoreboard. That is not ideal. The 2 historical fraggers on Shopify Rebellion, Ambient Surf, also not getting kills at the moment. Ambi's numbers are actually down this stage, well behind what we expect of him. A nice drop, but Rexton somehow wins it and has the opportunity to hit him with a question mark drive-by in chat. That's a damning blow for Spirits. They'll lose their second shield on the side of DZ as Surf demolishes Nafe. And it's Pamba and NJR left, the aforementioned killless players looking for anything they can get in the next 30 seconds. A Candela will go out. Down goes Pambazoo, he'll find nothing. What about NJR walking into the bomb site? A kill on Ambi, that's a good start. 4 more to be found. That is the entire team of Shopify Rebellion now competing for the final kill, minus Ambi. NJR crouching his way through the bomb site. Explosions around him, his position known, and Spoit will get kill number 7. A Shopify Rebellion blunt whatever momentum could have been gained from DZ's timeout.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what the game plan was with that attack. Utility-wise, I like the adjustments. I like adding an extra shield alongside Spirits. It specifically being a Montane, in theory, should give you 2 different options to apply pressure with the shield. Quick with Spirits, a bit more slow and progressive with the Monty. And I also love Pambazoo bringing the Yang. All great utility. And yet we see a push in the exact same directions. Same push from Connector Electrical, despite the changes. Same push from IT, despite the changes. And arguably, without the Aurora, it goes worse. You're not really able to push up as much as you were before, and not saying they should have brought the Aurora, but it doesn't go nearly as well as even their round 1 attack did, which basically resulted in them only getting 1 kill. I'm also very surprised. I could have missed it. We were focused on IT a lot, but normally what we see when we have a Monty and a Ying is actually like the Monty and the Ying push Aqua and try to like disrupt the players there and then maybe like flank up Aqua later in the round. But again, it seemed like the entire focus is on the IT side. Maybe that's something I missed. Maybe we were just focused on that one segment. But also Dark Zero with those tools, not even doing the thing you normally see teams do with a Monty or a Ying on Nighthaven.
Camera feed up and running.
Laser gate in position.
DZ throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. Now a Finka on the board, an operator that we're seeing for the first time today too. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think it's the first time.
We're going to the judges. The judges gave it to me. All right, perfect.
I would remember it.
Yeah. But I mean this carousel of operators just to kickstart whatever offense you can get. Citizen, the highest rated player on the side of DZ. He's even at the moment. Citizen does like to play on his own. He's been a bit more constrained on this DZ team. Not being given as much free movement.
Nice.
NJR will find his second kill in as many rounds as Ambi gets toppled. Ambi having a rough stage, as was mentioned. But the kills have been spread out on the side of Shopify Rebellion. Spoit had a down stage 1. Ambi was a superstar. Now it seems that they have swapped in the standings. Surf has been the absolute standout for the Rebellion. As there goes Spirits at the hands of Spoit. You've lost your shield. That's not ideal.
I don't even know how Spoit is getting these kills. I also don't know... I don't know what Spirits' roles in these attacks are. This is the second time in a row he's been by himself as the shield. The first time, at least, like, okay, the attack was kind of going awry. It was late in the round, and it seemed like they were maybe getting something, but either way, that seems to not really be the biggest issue. The Rexton, I think, caught with the C4 in hand. It might have been weird with Spoit up top, but it's all going Dark Zero's way at the moment. These 2 kills from Surf will feel nice, but will likely be a Pyrrhic victory by the end. And indeed, they will. Dark Zero pick up their second. Again, not really sure why Spirits was alone on the top floor, but hey, we got to give Dark Zero credit for the rest of it working out so nicely.
Said this would likely be good or great, and so far, it's a pretty great matchup, even if we are left scratching our heads at some of the decisions that they're making. Do you know what that backdrop is that Shopify Rebellion is using?
I don't, actually.
Not familiar with it.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Either way,
I can't even
coming to blows. NJR now online, amassing 4 kills in the span of 2 rounds. Nafe having the most kills on DZ is a bit of a troubling sign. It suggests that you are having issues making contact in your opening duels. It's the same with when Fabian used to get the most kills on Penta/G2, and Canadian gets among the most kills on Shopify Rebellion, which he's not getting the most kills, but he's had an abnormally high number of high frag games this stage because his teammates have been having really rough deployments. Canadian typically plays a more sheltered style on Shopify Rebellion. He's not going to be in your opening duels. He'll be playing that floater role somewhere on defense where you can rely on him, but if he's engaged in the first bit of action, that's usually a bad thing. Well, Nave take more of a back seat. Spirits is playing that hardened support role through much of these rounds, as we come to see.
New camera feed up and running.
Again, Spirits plays those roles in a way where he survives an awful lot while the rest of the team will die. He has not been quite so lucky this time around. He's having a bit of a rough game. He and Pambazu combined 2 and 9 at the moment. For players of their caliber, those are very bad numbers.
No, not ideal. Not ideal. But hey, these things happen. You know, they also have important ramifications depending on what might happen this game. Spoit facing a lot of pressure early, put to 1 HP, and Dark Zero, I was going to say, finding themselves in a really powerful spot. The defense caught completely unaware. 5v3 as Pambazu gets his second. It seems that Shopify have no answer whatsoever.
Wait.
Until Spoit and Canadian, the very 2v4 duo Parker from before, they get active.
Just sitting patiently now and waiting. The duo on the side of DZ versus the duo on the side of Shopify Rebellion. Spoit on low HP, though. A winnable round for both sides. Canadian will test his mettle. Spoit, technically, there's 2 of them, right? So he can swap around, providing that that second robot on Skopos has not been destroyed. He'll go for a long flank towards the bomb site while Canadian holds down the fort. Neither player on DZ have the diffuser. Pambazu has now fixed that as he's retrieved it and will begin the diffusing process. He falls off. Trying to bait out these last 2 Shopify Rebellion players. Nobody on SR is giving him any quarter. A creep up by Spoit. NJR was prepared and ready for that. Now looking around for Canadian with Deagle out in hand. Nitro Cell around the corner. He doesn't do it. NJR is just a bit too fast. Canadian was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. And a bounce back round from the duo of DZ.
Have to commend the remaining Dark Zero players there, especially, I think, you know, NJR on the coverage, obviously being just doing NJR things, as I think we would all expect. If I would want anybody to play passive and to cover an angle as I'm going for a plant, it would absolutely be him. But also just not getting ahead of themselves. It would be very easy in a situation like that, where the attack has been going and been going very quickly for about 15 seconds at that point. It'd be so easy to get caught up in that momentum and just push too far. It'd be a mistake, but it'd be the kind of mistake that I don't think anybody would really blame you all that much for. It'd be understandable. But here, Dark Zero take their time, they wait, they slowly move forward to figure out what control they can actually acquire, take the absolute minimum necessary in the 2v2, and NGR is great to cover and put the diffuser down. That's just the experience coming into play. I mean, I would not be shocked whatsoever if Shopify were to play a 2v2 on the attack that effectively as well. But it just goes to show that, oftentimes, if a team is capable of slowing down like that when things have gone awry, especially after a rush has gone awry, it's just a really impressive thing.
First half no closer to a conclusion. Nighthaven Labs here in NA is, did you guess it, the most played map in the region.
Yes. I love it.
Stats-wise, breaking quite heavily in favor of the defenders. That is bad news for Shopify Rebellion. 69%. That is not coincidence. That is literally the number. 69% of all rounds played on Nighthaven Labs here in Stage 2 have been won by the defenders. That is a yawning chasm between attackers and defenders. Usually we see 45 to 55. Sometimes we see 40 to 60. Seeing a 31 to 69% spread between the two sides means that if you are not winning 4-2, you are doing a very poor job. 5-1 is perfectly reasonable for this defending side. Shopify Rebellion were only able to get 3 rounds. That is less than ideal. So DZ should be able to breeze through this second half based on those numbers, based on the fact it's their map, based on the fact that they're defending. If Shopify Rebellion can pick up 1 or 2 rounds very quickly, it'll knock DZ on their heels, but DZ will still have the lighter workload moving forward. I'm going to watch to see, what does the roam for DZ look like? Do they overextend too much? They've been having issues with some of their fraggers hitting their shots. Do they play off that confidence, or do they be a bit more sheltered and realize that let's let the attackers come to us? This is a defending fortress. Let's let the map do the work for us.
It's the kind of advantage you have when Clash and Azami are available on your defenses. Two operators where you can really move the fortress wherever you want, whether it's on the garage side, the electrical side. It's a great advantage to have both those tools at your disposals, as Shopify, Optiban, the Cade, and the Mira. No Bandit being brought, as you can see. First kill going the way of Shopify. Wow, look at this from NJR. Oh no! The timing doesn't quite work, but the guns elsewhere work excellently. Pamba and Nape, a huge coordinated run out by Dark Zero. And yet Shopify answer back in kind as NJR overstays his welcome. Spoit takes control of Garage. These teams making some great moves in the mid-round, and it just happens to be Shopify coming away the victors, and yet Parker, with a minute remaining, who else but the Azami with 2 Kivas and the Clash. This can be difficult, especially as Nape has to put his gun up. These are 2 very strong operators to have in the late round.
Nafe is ready and could easily get 2 here. He'll get 1 for sure if the Lion of Spoit is looking up. He sees the shoulder, gives his position away, so an easy kill has now slipped through his fingers. Or easier, at least. There'll be more adversity, that's for sure. Drone still available for Shopify Rebellion as Ambient Canadian will work alongside Spoit. All 3 of them still upright, droning in with 30 seconds left. Nafe playing off this deployable shield, holding on for dear hope. Oh my. Ambi wanders in aimlessly, and now Nafe is repositioned. This is eminently more winnable. Down goes Spoit. Canadian is the last man standing. He finds Pambazoo in a 1v1 against the Brit who replaced him. Who prevails? Time running out. Canadian couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Nafe securing the final kill, and DZ has the lead.
Oh, I hate to say it. That's kind of a fumble from Canadian right there. Well, I mean, I don't really hate to say it. It's just kind of accurate. Nafe is trapped in a corner. Literally trapped. Nowhere for him to go. Canadian has him cut off entirely. Even gets the first bit of damage onto him. But just missing all of those shots. Hey, it happens. You know, these things occur. But still, that was the easier of the 2 gunfights he landed. I mean, winning that fight, crazy. This should be the one you get, even on low HP. That's an easy pre-fire once Nafe crosses. And, hey, we all miss shots sometimes, but that's a really rough moment for Canadian to lose. And Dark Zero take the lead off the back of it. They've been fighting at the back, on the back foot for this entire game so far. And off of that, it's the first time they can find themselves in the lead.
A nice come from behind victory for Dark Zero that, well, the pendulum kept swinging, didn't it?
10 seconds left.
For a long time, it looked like Shopify Rebellion would have the upper hand, and with all the droning they did, it is a bit puzzling that Ambi was not able to determine Nafe's position. It was a relatively easy kill as he just turned, beheaded Ambi, and immediately went back to that aqua door leading into Command Center. Left Shopify Rebellion in a no-win situation. Most of Canadian's kills have been impactless as he's been fighting in vain in the dying moments of rounds. Still 6 kills for him, gives him second on the team. We are talking 7 completed rounds, 8 active rounds, and Ambi with 3, Rexon with 4, Surf with 4. These are dreadful numbers for 3 players who should be doing much better. We pointed a finger at NJR earlier, and would you look at that? He's 7-6. We did the same with Pambazoo. He's 1 kill away from going positive. DZ's offensive threats have woken up. Shopify Rebellions need to do the same, or else put this map in DZ's win column and move on to Chalet. Canadian with shield in hand now will be the first to come to blows. Citizen was isolated by multiple players of Shopify Rebellion. Spoit credited with the kill. And a nice reprieve for Shopify Rebellion as they get the opening pick.
Quite a simple 1-2 punch on the clear. Canadian maybe needing to chill out just a little bit as he's caught off guard by Spirits. These stairs can always be difficult positions for shields to navigate, as the defender could get a, like you just saw, an angle on the legs, or if the positions are reversed, could get an angle on the shield's head. So it's always something that any player, whether you're playing Monty, Blitz, whatever, always has to concern themselves with. But aside from that, the roam clear goes flawlessly. I particularly loved how well coordinated that clear between Canadian and Spoit was, who really have been a duo this whole game, it seems. Canadian pushes in, pushes the defenders into like top aqua control, and then Spoit immediately opens the wall to cut them off. Just a beautifully coordinated 1-2 punch, and a 5v3 looking quite strong. Pamazu and NJR playing off positions to try to work a pick back. Kind of what you have to do at this point, but NJR turning off the phone in front of Canadian. Oh yeah, this one's going Shopify's way, I think.
Oh, Pamazu and Spirits last two left. DZ still keeping their wits about them and some humor to boot. As the assault from Shopify Rebellion continues on the middle floor. They're in prime position to tie this up. Dark Zero's lead looks like it was only for a short period of time, just a couple minutes. Very kind of the Rebellion to let Dark Zero keep it warm for them. So with outside the realm of possibility that Spirits could get a 1v... Oh, yes, it is. Okay, never mind. Issuing a correction. It is outside of the realm of possibility.
We spoke to the judge. It's outside.
The judges ruled it's outside. Unfortunately, sorry, Spirits, you had to die in that round. Shopify Rebellion answer back. The game is tied. A big victory for the attackers. Attackers on this map shouldn't be winning too many rounds. 3 were won by DZ on their attack so far. Shopify Rebellion only been able to do it once. If they want to win this game, or at very least go to OT, they're going to need to get a couple more on the side of SR.
And hey, if they look more like that, they could be in very, very good form to at least keep it competitive on this half, that kill aside. That's just something that happens. Two things are kind of like my big takeaway from that round. One was the roam clear I mentioned, just really well coordinated. The comms and the overall kind of just like strat from Shopify is really good. Two, Spoit's just having one of those games at the moment. Not that he's winning fights that he shouldn't win. He's just constantly finding himself in engagements and positioning himself wisely, or the team positions him wisely, where he is favored to win all of those fights. And also in moments like that where he opens a hatch, he's reacting very quickly too. Spoit is just in particularly sharp form at the moment, and
Attackers are moving to defuse the bomb.
I'm just going to explain it because you always want to be thorough. Spoit's a really good player, like one of the best in the world, and if he's having sharp form, your team could be like pretty not good, and there's a non-zero chance you still win.
Always loved seeing a couple players after a devastating loss or a tight loss would tweet something along the lines of like, well, I still got my kills. And it's like, that's the spirit. That's the thing that your teammates want to see after a devastating loss. Hell yeah, you doing a victory lap on your own performance. Safe to say that if Shopify Rebellion do lose this match, which is entirely possible, Spoit is not to blame. He only won several of those rounds in the first half because of his efforts. Even if he does cool off, he's given them such a leg up that the rest of the team needs to step up and get the job done. Still wondering when these 3 stars on SR will break out. Surf, Rex, and Ambi having fine days, but fine is well below our expectations of them.
And I do think that's inarguably the biggest thing that's kind of inhibiting Shopify at the moment, particularly Ambi and Rexon. Surf's a bit more understandable. Even when he's doing well, he's always playing backline roles, so it's not like the biggest deal when he's not doing well. But Ambi and Rexon, I mean, if they're putting up Spoit numbers, this game might be over. And the fact that it's this close is a testament to Spoit, but also a testament to the system on Shopify that they have this structure to fall back on. The roam clear not going nearly as fast as it did before, probably because Canadian's on IQ and not on that shield. And yet Spoit's able to find the entry nonetheless, because when the call is go, boy, do Shopify start moving in the site. Canadian putting the diffuser down. And I don't believe anybody on the vertical top down. The C4 from below will force Canadian off.
Spoit will get yet another, my God, 14 kills. Nafe and Spirits will now defend against these 4 players on the side of SR. Spirits has been dropped by, you guessed it, Spoit, whose grenade will do the rest of it, and he's looking for kill number 4 on the round. 4 kills in 1 round for Spoit. Surf and Ambi both sitting at 4 kills, and Spoit will do just that. A quad kill for the Swede. Shopify Rebellion regain the lead. 2 rounds on attack on Labs. A bit abnormal, but SR's making it work. A bit troubling for DZ as they sit on the better side.
Remember when I said that even if your team is like not doing good, you can still win the round if Spoit's doing well? So in that round, Shopify hop in, start planting, and oh no, they have forgot, actually, something that's kind of important. There is the possibility that somebody's below with the C4. Now this happens, but that still could have disrupted the attack entirely. And to Canadian's credit, he backs off and dodges the C4, but now we've got a really big variable that we didn't consider that can easily disrupt the whole attack. And what does Spoit do? He just pushes garage, not only gets that kill, pushes deep, as you can see here, ahead of Canadian, and then of course just controls the whole room, positions himself, also to say, in the best possible spot. Sitting in that corner, you're focused on the most immediate point of entry that a defender would likely be. Since he pushed from garage, he knows that's clear. But he hasn't cleared the cafeteria side, so he's watching that way. And he's also not exposed to anybody from garage, anybody in the other site. So Spoit, obviously with good positioning as well. But I almost said it again. Shopify did not consider a really big disruptor that Dark Zero threw at them. But because Spoit is able to just ride the wave so well, it is kind of a footnote in the whole round.
5 seconds to insertion.
Deploying jammer. Reinforcing.
I think this is the matchup that I'd hoped that SSG and DZ would, or Wildcard. Now I'm doing it. Look at you infecting my brain.
My bad.
Some kind of mind virus. But this is what I hope that SSG and Wildcard would end up being. For those of you that have not watched that matchup, not going to spoil the results for you right now, though we will give reference to it when it comes to overall playoff picture. I'm liking what I'm seeing here on map number 1, but what does this say for DZ on map 2? Do you think that with how close DZ is, because right now, worst case scenario, the Shopify Rebellion lose 7-5. Realistically, overtime seems to be the most likely outcome. And then who knows what happens there. But what does that mean for DZ on Chalet? Not a rhetorical question, I'm asking you.
Oh, sorry, I genuinely thought that was a rhetorical question.
No, I mean, what does it mean for DZ when they go on to Shopify Rebellion's map?
I think it's, well, there's a couple different ways you could approach it. I think if Ambi and Rexon are still really struggling to pick up performances, it might not be as bad as you think. That's a map where, especially on the attack, you want to control the pace from outside the building. But if the defense retakes and Ambi and Rexon keep losing fights, Dark Zero could easily counter one of the biggest strong points of Chalet just by taking those fights and winning them, as, let's be honest, while Dark Zero are kind of struggling, Nafe's doing well, and Pamazu and NGR are getting a decent amount of kills. It's really not a great day for everybody. But if they can win those fights more often, it could easily be a good game. However, if they go down and Shopify start really refining themselves strategically and Rex and Ambi start coming alive, that's a whole different story. Yet if this round is anything to evidence, I don't think second floor is Shopify's best territory.
Well, Rexon and Spoit blown up very quickly, and Canadian very much worse for wear. All the kills will now fall on to two players perfectly capable of it in the IGL. DZ without a scratch on the paint at this current point in time. Canadian Ambi will work together with 45 seconds remaining. Lynx, this is a tough spot for Shopify Rebellion to be in, but hey, they get one, almost a second. Ambi baited in, Citizen has the cross. Down goes Citizen at the hands of Surf. He finds another! My goodness! Surf now sustaining serious damage. He's finished off. Canadian will need to clutch up. Out comes the SMG. Down goes NJR, and Nafe and Canadian will be in a battle again. Nafe goes 2 for 2. The Brit has the Canadians' number, and we've got a tie game.
I was about to say, if you're Troy, you got to have a smile on your face with that one. That was just a crazy situation all the way around with some funny timing at the end. Getting that kill on NGR is huge, and Canadian actually, I want to point this out, actually having a pretty good game, all things considered. He's the second highest rated for the team so far, and also has more kills than Rexon, Surf, or Ambi, especially after that round. So very good game from Canadian. Playing Blackbeard. I'm just going to leave that one there. But the problem overall for Shopify in that round is kind of the same problem we've seen a lot of teams have with this second floor side. Everyone is getting bottlenecked around the electrical and the IT positions, even with operators like a shield on the board. And while that moment happens, and obviously that's very funny, that's a good example of what kind of has been happening when Shopify aren't able to get the kills. Is if they, or I guess not when Shopify get the kills, but when anybody's attacking that second floor, if they don't start off with a dominant advantage, they just get constricted on that side of the map so quickly, and it's a trap Shopify has fallen into, and a trap Dark Zero certainly fell into many times on their attacking side as well.
And defuse a bomb.
My favorite round in Siege, because no matter who wins, we move to map point. And map point because this is a best of 3. For those of you tuning in, we are done with the group stages. The top 6 teams now do battle to see which out of those 6 will go to Munich. There are 4 spots. Teams that sat atop the standings, both M80 and OXG, are waiting for the results of these games. We already know one of the matchups. M80 got to see which of their teams they will fight against, and it'll be Space Station. OXG is waiting for the winner of this game. Shopify, Rebellion, and Dark Zero will then go down to the lower bracket. The loser, the winner, will go up against an Oxygen that's looked revitalized. The changes they've made, Adam settling in on his role, Forrest's leadership guiding the team forward, all of it have culminated in one of the best OXG rosters, potentially even the best OXG roster we've seen ever. Ambazoo's been a name we haven't said a lot today outside of our disappointment in his score. And well, he gets the leadoff pick here. Dave is finished off by Ambi. That's a bit of an odd run with the wall opened up. So both teams will lose a player, but what a devastating loss for both. Canadian gone, the shield, the Azami gone on the side of DZ and Nafe. Neither team really walking away happy with the first player they sacrificed.
No, I do think for a basement attack, though, this might, and this is kind of rare. Normally, I always kind of give an Azami loss on a trade to the attackers. Like, I phrase that really convolutedly. Whenever the attack gets an Azami, I usually say they're coming out the better. But losing the Monty is kind of big. But in conjunction, oh, okay, so the round the round's just going to end. Gotcha.
Ambi's gonna kill every single person. He heard you talking about how little he'd done in terms of kills, and he said, hold my stats. There you go. Huge round from Ambi as he kills basically everybody. And DZ is on the ropes on their own map. Lynx, Shopify Rebellion on map point, about to steal DZ's pick of labs away from the team in purple.
I want to point out, by the way, that really only one round from Shopify has been won by just, like, I would say, very clean Siege overall, right? And it was that basement attack where they have the great roam clear, then convert down below. It was a Spoit 4K in round 9, which was like a decent strat, but a Spoit 4K, a Spoit single-handedly clears the site. And here, Ambi gets 4 kills. I don't even know how we got the middle 2. We saw the first and the last one. I don't know what happened and how he got all of those, like the second and the third kill. But 2 of Shopify's wins have involved a huge, massive pop-off 4K from Spoit in the case of the first, and Ambi in the case of the round that we just saw. So, Basement will be the only site that goes Shopify's way every single time. Though every single time we've seen them play, it always feels like Dark Zero are disrupting Shopify well. Even look to the rounds that they've won. Basement and Tank, the first one, all right, I'll give you that. But Storage, C4 from below, disrupts everything if Spoit doesn't save the 4K. There, Shopify lose the opening pick. The Monty goes down really early, and it's only with Ambi getting some weird, crazy 4K that things work out. Maybe we see it, and I think differently. But I have to say, so far, Dark Zero have been successfully disrupting Shopify, and it's all been about how they react immediately in the moment with their gun skill.
24 kills between Spoit and Canadian, and finally the supporting cast of Shopify Rebellion has found their footing. Surf 6-6, Rexon 7-7, Ambi 9-9, all of them sitting at 500, which still is well below expectations, but at least they've been able to match the offensive firepower of DZ. Citizen, the best statistical player on Dark Zero this stage, is not putting up great numbers. The only person doing less than him is Spirits, and Spirits' role, come to expect that. Though Spirits has the fewest deaths on the side of DZ this stage. He's got 10, tied with Ambazoo and NJR, so dying a bit too much for comfort. Very critical round now. Dark Zero hoping to stave off defeat, but it's a bad beginning. There's Spirits losing out his 11th death. And Shopify Rebellion have an advantage with 2 minutes to go.
That's crazy work from Spirits. Hopping out, all right, that's a bit awkward. Hopping out that window after a C4's just been shot out there. I think maybe thought he could catch Ambi off guard and focused on the window. but just ends up hopping directly into 3 different attackers. And again, I'm not really focused on the Azami for this one. I'm just focusing on a 5v4 acquired early for Shopify, when now, by the way, remember when Pamba and Dark Zero were attacking this site and we only had the sledge? Well, now that you have the Ram, you can toss those boogie drones from outside the window, get the vert accomplished. They've got a 5v3 with a minute 10 seconds remaining. Make that a 5v2.
Shopify Rebellion doing everything to close out the lights on this Dark Zero match, and they'll get it done. Ambi and Spoit doubling up with the final 2 kills. Ambi coming online right when you need him the most. Those last 2 rounds, not quite as close as we'd hoped. Shopify Rebellion snipes DZ's map with a 7-5 scoreline. Now they go to Chalet, up 1-0. Can we see 2 2-0s today, Lynx? That is the question. A really great routine result for this SR team. Spoit in particular doing very, very well, and DZ will need to regroup for what will be a very tough game. They're not out if they lose, but the road to making top 4, to making Munich, will get a lot harder. What happens in map number 2? We'll find out in a couple minutes.
Also a map that's starting out on the defense. If Dark Zero can kind of like channel some of that pace that we saw for them in the previous stage, Shopify could have a really tough time. Even with banning Blitz and Blackbeard, this is a map where Ying can be really powerful, or Sens can be, or Glass can be really powerful. Because if you throw some bit of disruption into the site, say Candela's, and everybody starts running around, I mentioned in the previous map that you can contest a lot of space just by holding exterior angles. And you can do that really well with, say, a Sens on a window or a smoke on a window and a Glass behind it. So there's many options for Dark Zero to get a bit of a lead on this attacking side. And Shopify, hopefully, will have some answers for it.
5 seconds left before insertion.
One of the most played maps across all regions in the previous stage. Chalet has been played 9 times this stage. 9 times, you say? Well, not technically. 9 rounds. That's it. 1 play. So basically, we have no data on this map whatsoever. 3 rounds were won by the attackers, 6 rounds were won by the defenders. That really doesn't mean anything. Chalet does tend to be pretty nice territory for the attackers. Defenders do not always have the constant upper hand like on so many other maps. Remain to be seen which team excels here. Dark Zero will be starting on attack. Just use those numbers and nothing else, which you shouldn't do. But let's say we do that. Shopify Rebellion will be starting on the better side, but given that this is their map, I think DZ knows that the attackers have a good stride and they'll walk right into office. NJR taking some damage from the Surya gate. Down goes Rexon at the hands of Citizen. They trade it right back. Spoit not cooled off from his first match. He's got the first kill for Shopify Rebellion. Nice pick from NJR onto Ambi, who slow peeks the wall from office. Didn't know that the Glass had taken up residence in there. Now it's Surf expecting a push over towards Solarium. Down goes Nave at the hands of Spoit. Spoit a double kill, starting off so strong. All of this action happening very, very early, and NJR will jump up. Down goes Canadian, another will be found. NJR is really taking no prisoners here, and he finds Spoit too. My God, the mayor. And right back to serious mode. DZ takes round number 1.
Well, I mean, that round was literally exactly what I predicted might happen. That you have a Candela thrown inside of the site, smokes thrown on windows, and then a Glass either looking through or, in this case, walking through, as the Glass entry has become popular over the past 6 months to a year, and that can really disrupt the attack. Everything after that, though, that I predicted, this is all NJR, and you can't really predict that. I mean, this is crazy work. That one, too. That is one of the best highlights I've seen of from the NA League so far this entire year between stages 1 and 2. But it's also the exact kind of round I want to see from DZ1, making good advantage of those angles and placing utility on them, but also not becoming complacent with them, turning up the pace, trying to find some good positions like within the site or like really like pressing their attack and advantage against the defense. So I'm actually very, very pleased with the round we just saw from Dark Zero. Maybe everything after this will suck. Who knows? I don't think it will happen, but maybe everything after this will suck, and at least we can all be happy. But that was a really good round that showcases some, like, in one round of the many things you can do on Chalet.
TZ's going to bring an equally obnoxious lineup for the defenders to deal with. Sens, Finka, Lion, Monty, and Ying? No. No, I'm
fun
good, thank
today.
you. I don't want to play this game. I appreciate
No
that.
fun allowed.
No fun allowed. I had fun once, and you know, it was awesome.
Overrated.
Yeah,
Loading mag.
not a huge fan.
This
Too
is
much fun.
This is a Canadian classic. You know,
Vintage Troy.
vintage, using the heartbeat scanner to scan 2 floors up, get information where they're pushing. Vintage Troy right here.
Trying to rebuff the advance of these attackers. Rexon will mag dump. Down goes NJR. All 4 kills from him in the previous round will be for naught. Opportunities for the other players on Dark Zero to amass respectable totals in their own right. An Adrenal Surge is used by Nafe, but doesn't really accomplish all much. A Citizen's gunned down by Spoit. Spoit
Jesus.
already with 4 kills, by the way. That we had, what, 16, 17? He entered today with 89 kills. He has long since eclipsed 100. Nice play by Canadian now as Pambazu tried to creep up through the basement.
Boosting ascendance.
Go ahead.
M10 in 2025 is crazy. I can't believe that.
I mean, you've got the Reaper MK2 as your secondary, so you can run the shotgun.
I know, but that shotgun is so bad.
It's like getting hit with a wet pool noodle. It just does nothing. I've seen Nerf guns that scare me more than that.
I've seen pool noodles that scare me more than that.
You know, pool noodles and Nerf are both made of foam, right?
Well, the Nerf guns aren't.
But the bullets are.
Well, they're not bullets, are they?
Hard plastic tips made of foam, so they're aerodynamic. They can fly very fast. Not sponsored, by the way.
Well, I can tell you what, Dark Zero not flying very fast in this 2v5. Spirit's just slowly creeping down the blue stairs. Good reaction, looking around, isolating a 1v1 on the bottom floor. I was about to say, actually should pick this one up pretty easily. Also, even though there's nobody there, I like that anticipation that somebody might play for the trade around the corner. But yeah, I was about to say, this is just a Shopify round waiting to be formed.
No pool noodle, by the way. Need the
No, that
new
operator's coming
sidearm,
next
the
year.
Reaper, the MK2, the Reaper, the MK2. You call it a Reaper? Do you call it MK2? What do you call it?
I think I call it the Reaper.
Don't fear the Reaper.
Honestly, I've just been
Fear
calling
the
it
pool noodle instead.
I've been calling it the machine pistol mainly.
That's very accurate. Spirit's last one alive. At this point, just biding time. I mean, he's got 4 players on Shopify Rebellion. He's about to drop to his death, should he choose to do that. Job well done. Rexy gets the final kill, and a 1-1 scoreline through the first 2 rounds.
So I get the feeling that Spoit hasn't cooled off all that much between maps 1 and 2, as last round he was 2 rounds ago now, I guess technically, he was the only player on Shopify to get kills. He got 2. In this round, many people on Shopify got kills, and he still also got 2. In this case, peeking outside of the building, not once, but twice. It's going to be a constant problem for Dark Zero, and in the case of Nighthaven, Spoit having the impact he had was very decisive. He was part of that 2v4 on their defenses, got a 4K on the attacking side. If he's having a quieter day, there's a very strong chance that it's 1-0 for Dark Zero in this series at the moment, even if it went to all 12 rounds. Spoit has been a necessary condition and definitely sufficient to get them this far, but still kind of hoping we can see a bit more from DZ, as Spoit and Canadian were the top 2 performers last map, and that's still true at the moment.
Loading your mag. Ready to activate.
I mean, I feel like you saying that is just because Canadian has 1 more kill than Rexen.
Okay, I know.
A huge difference. You're technically correct.
Yes, I know. I am aware that it's early on and plenty of things could change. However, I do want to point out that the only kill Rexen got was when the Spirits was dropping the hatch and the round was lost.
Loading new
Fair
magazine.
point. Very fair point.
How you like them apples?
They're great. Love apples. Big fan. So, Dark Zero were quick in round number 1. They succeeded. Tried to be quick in number 2, and it fell apart. What happens now in number 3? Do they bring a different pace, a different tempo? Their lineup looking eerily similar to what we saw in round number 1, though the glass will be in different hands. In the hands of a wily French-Canadian. No shields to be had on the side of DZ for this particular execute, which is odd. But taking it slow. So we're going to see a much more structured execute from Dark Zero, as in order to translate towards that middle floor, they want to take top first. There go the Candelas, the swing in from the glass. Panbazoo eliminates Surf, taking serious damage from guess who? Spoit. First kill for Shopify Rebellion, his 5th. It was a quick swing in now. DZ have Solarium. Down goes Rex into Citizen. Canadian falls as well. I was wrong about the pacing. It just took them a minute to find their footing. DZ is wasting no time. Spoit and Ambi now, last 2 standing. Ambi without a kill up to this point. He doesn't really know all that much. Trying to buy time. DZ in full control. They've got the bomb site. They've got Diffuser down, and now Spoit will need to ace. He's the only one with a kill so far. They know his whereabouts over on Trophy Stairs, and he will scamper up to Solarium. He has kill holes, but 4 players from DZ will be watching. Citizen never relinquished control, and he'll find the last kill to give DZ the lead.
Yeah, different lineup, but, and technically speaking, Parker, it was slower than it was last time. A whole 12 seconds slower between those opening picks in round 1 and 3. So they were taking a bit more time. However, as you also pointed out, it was very, very similar to what we saw in round 1, just from the opposite side, which honestly isn't that surprising. When you're attacking Master Bedroom and Office, the defense is defending Master Bedroom and Office. When you're attacking Kitchen and Dining, the defense is defending Master Bedroom and Office. So it's a lot of the same tactics and ideas are going to apply, just because most teams nowadays play that site vertically. And I think it's perfectly reasonable for Dark Zero to run that back and just do it from the opposite side. Throw the smokes in, get the Glass in pretty quick, and even though he got shut down, the benefits of that Warden ban is you can bring Glass and Sense, and you don't care. You can bring Ying, and you don't care, because nobody's going to counter you like the potential of that Warden could. And I think that's a big reason why we're saying Dark Zero is so much more comfortable. Just by banning that Warden, they played Ying every single round. They brought smokes of some kind every single round and Glass twice. This is clearly what they're leaning into, and the Glass ban is not going to matter. They're still going to run Sens and Ying in all likelihood. Or at least one of them.
I love the variance that we've seen from Dark Zero's op choices here. When you get to the level that DZ is at, your operator pool is going to be quite large. It should surprise nobody that about half of the attackers can be played without much effort by this DZ team. It's really the defining factor. There's a couple things that separate the goods from the greats. Experience, your ability to stay in a match mentally, but also your flexibility. Teams that are maybe not as experienced, teams that are newer, they're going to struggle with choosing operators best designed to suit your defender lineup and the bomb site. DZ does not have that problem at all.
No, all these ops are very strong, very powerful. I mean, from the flank watch in the back line to the front line, the op selection has been, I mean, it's been really good, and it's also been quite just, all right, it's been quite just abusive of some of the biggest, like, the problem attackers we've seen so far, like Candela's not letting up on the pace there, Dokeby not letting up on the pace, and that's just kind of the meta for attack at the moment. They have a lot of stuff that they can bring, even with the additional bans, so it makes sense why it's been so good and so powerful, because they are just laying into this style of play. So of course, right here, this is officially, and will officially be the slowest round we've had so far. Canadians C4 going wide, unfortunately, as Nafe has picked the Monty and is slow walking it up Solar Stairs.
Really entrenched defense by Shopify Rebellion right now, as they just wait for the storm to come. Bunkered. Prepared. The Monty making no shortage of noise, just within arm's reach of Canadian playing on that door frame in bedroom. Anybody who's played this game knows how challenging it can be to deal with upside down repels, and that seems like half of DZ is at this point. Out go the Candelas, and now a potential push in. Logic bombs will go off. Time for an EU1D maybe, but Shopify Rebellion have swatted away Nathan Pambazoo. NJR will die on an Ambi jump out. The only player to get a kill is NJR, and he's dead. Spirits and Citizen now in a 2v4. Down goes Rexon. Spirit still has control from above and manages to win his engagement. Suddenly, a 4v2 for Shopify Rebellion has evaporated, and Dark Zero are in an incredibly strong position. Still not out of the woods yet, but doing much better than they were before. They have 1 logic bomb, 2 flashbangs. That's all they're working with. The rest will be pure gunfire. Ambi sitting on top of that diffuser, so unless you go for kills, you've got to get through him first. Here comes the rush over. They know Surf's whereabouts. They'll go for a quick peek around the corner. Ambi given the signal that, hey, this is where they're coming from. An easy read with the Scorpion. Surf will need to turn, but Ambi's got his back, and down goes Citizen as SR survives a bit of a scary end to the round. They equalize.
And not entirely sure what happened on the solar side, and that's where a lot of the action happens. So unfortunately, just going to have to accept that as we go forward. However, I am very interested by the placement of the Ying overall, because normally I feel like we would see kind of the Candelas thrown over there, because Spirit's used his Candelas, it seems like, entirely to facilitate his own push into office, which, given the lack of a warden, you're likely going to find a lot of people blind, and yet it seems in the process a lot of the defense was stationed over on the front side, and by winning all of those fights, it's one of those things where, like, okay, all the eggs are in one basket. Sure, if Dark Zero win, this is a dominant victory, but by them winning all their fights, Spirits' backstab ends up not really having that much of an impact, unless he makes something for himself, which he does. But again, a little bit lost in the process, because I'm just not entirely sure what happened over on that solar side. Maybe the Candelas would have been useful, but also maybe it could have been too much cooks in the kitchen. I don't know. There's a lot of left wanting about that round. A lot I want to know, Parker, if I could go back and replay it.
Well, the good news is you'll be able to watch this match replay after we're all said and done.
You know, I think I'll do that.
Nice way to spend your... Is it Wednesday today? A nice day to spend your Wednesday night. My whole schedule has been completely thrown asunder because of this NA Super Week and then SAL. Here comes the rush. NJR felled immediately. Nafe seemingly survived that ensuing fight. Nitrocell goes out. Spirits is in back bar. Everybody is toppling, and now he'll open up some of the wall. Spirits finds yet another third. What a triumphant go of it for the French Canadians so far. Canadian and Spoit, the last two standing on the side of Shopify Rebellion, and they are battling against the clock. A big window, wide open. The hatch is sealed from above. There's almost no way for them to long arm this, so Spoit will now watch as the Monty gets ever closer. They're going to double up. Canadian going off. Nafe catches both. Spoit downs one, but DZ just had enough players there to cover it. Dark Zero grabs the lead. A seesaw first half. Each team trading back and forth, and we will go to the final round to see, can Shopify Rebellion tie it up, or will DZ finally win consecutive rounds?
Ironic thing about the positioning there is that because the hatch was closed, that actually was... I'm about to say really, that's crazy shots, by the way, from Spirits. I'm about to say it was winnable. It was not, like, feasibly winnable, but there is, like, a possibility, and a very real one, that if, like, Canadian had fallen off the diffuser and popped up to get that trade, it seemed like nobody in DZ was really in a great position to deny that plant, but then again, it would have reset. Either way, it was kind of a little closer, do you think, because that hatch was reinforced, but either way, not a scenario that was really all that likely. And the big difference maker there was how Spirits used that Ying. I mean, pushing deep into stock off the back of those smokes, such a good call. And the highlights after that are great, but pushing deep into stock is the difference maker, because we saw where that C4 landed as they went in to go activate the counter diffuse, and it would have absolutely killed the guy with the diffuser, and that probably would have been around for Shopify. So really great play by Spirits there, and what has clearly been their main and only solution to these attacks, which is just rushing. Well, I guess unless you're round 4.
Rushing, but not quite dragging. And
not quite
ultimately,
dragging.
Not quite Shopify Rebellion's tempo. So...
I mean, I would really appreciate if they were on my time. Oh, no.
Now, why do you think I threw a candela at your head?
Now, Now, why do you think I threw a 6-ball shot at you?
Ambazu finds his very first kill, and DZ continue this torrid pace. 40 seconds into the round, and they are slaughtering Shopify Rebellion. How do you win the first half, you might ask? Well, by never slowing down. Canadian getting 1 kill. It might be all that Shopify Rebellion can muster, because in 55 seconds, half of the server has been cleared out, and there goes the last one. Canadian eliminated by his former team. What a triumphant round by DZ. A 4-2 first half. What does Shopify Rebellion put together as we swap sides?
I don't think we'll see more of that, because that's not really the Shopify way. Though I will say, though, while they were like really leaning into the whole like kind of cheesy ops strats for Dark Zero, that was kind of like the DZ we saw last stage, making really good use of that utility, just kind of not getting like really aggressive, but just like really playing with the pace quite heavily and across the whole half. I think that was a really good call, because I think every time Shopify was reaching a point where like, okay, surely they don't do it again. Surely they don't do it again. And obviously they just kept doing it. But I just don't know, even with the tools available, like I just don't think that's the style of the game Shopify will want to play. And maybe they'll be forced into it, as Dark Zero, I think very reasonably, will ban one of the shield ops, Blitz, which Canadian plays quite frequently, and also ban the Ying. I'm always a bit leery of kind of half and half defenses that kind of ban an op from one, or half and half ban phases that ban one from one category, ban another one in another. But right now, Shopify have not played this map. I don't know what they're going to bring, and I think getting a shield off the board and then taking out another key operator actually is probably a decent decision given the situation.
Dark Zero could end this quickly if they keep up that same fire on defense, though it's a lot harder to do that as defenders, because you are at the mercy of the attackers. You're not usually the one controlling the clock. Suppose you can control the pacing. It was one of the big hallmarks of that old W7M/now Furia roster. They were excellent at playing offense on defense.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Razor wire deployed.
We got to this point by Shopify Rebellion
10 seconds to insertion.
taking Dark Zero's map just a couple minutes ago. It was a 7-5 scoreline, the closest you can get without overtime being needed. A relatively interesting and entertaining game, though not at times the most technically refined, but it got the job done. And between these teams, with where they are at in the standings, I think that's pretty reasonable. Now here, though, Dark Zero's put on a clinic through this first half. I think their slowest attack had them execute at 1:40. I don't know, maybe they have dinner reservations. They just want to get out of here in a hurry. Shopify Rebellion are not that same team, though. I expect much slower and more thought-out rounds. Thought out being in quotes, because Easy obviously thought out their 6 rounds, 4 of which succeeded.
Easy also likely doing a lot of their thinking ahead of time, as it seemed like a lot of preset rushes, which is not a bad thing. Don't mean that as like a diss. Oh! Rexon right around the corner will find Citizen just walking around dining. Ooh, that's a crazy trade from Nafe. I think he might have already been playing Mezzanine, but still good reaction. And initially the Capcan losing it, important thing is the 5v4 here. Capcan for Capitao. Nafe putting in a lot of work with that one kill to damage Shopify's utility.
I'm reloading.
A lot of quiet, as they've both lost players. Citizen, again, entered the day as the highest-rated DZ player. He's not been the best overall. I think NJR will earn that title. Spirits has been sensational in this second game. He had a terrible performance in match 1, but from anybody who remembers him on that old Altiora roster and the old X-Set roster way back in the day, Spirits will go 1-13 and then go 21-4 the very next game. There is no in-between. Ambazu eliminates Canadian. NJR traded off by Anby. Neither of these teams able to shake one another links as we get to the final minute in a 3v3.
No, it's been very close the whole way through, and honestly kind of worrying that Shopify are just struggling this much. Dark Zero on the attack looking quite active and, well, proactive in how they want to play. But here, I mean, even with that little bit that we saw with Nafe walking down Fireplace to get that trade, Dark Zero are really thinking on their feet quite nicely throughout this entire game so far. Now, while Shopify are in the 3v3s, I mean, I don't have to say much more than that.
Grenade out.
Now it's just chaos. Pambazoo with one, traded out by Spoit. SR looking for a foothold as Surf wants to move that diffuser into the bomb site. Easy playing keep away. That's a long line of sight. An army crawl over, repositioning to find something as there's a rotate. Spoit needs to dance around it. Down goes Spirit. Surf doing the job himself, but very limited time remains. Surf getting diffuser down. Super Shorty coming in. Nave could be the hero, and he will be! By God! Gets it as the case gets planted, and a 5th round for DZ.
Oh, that might just be the momentum builder right there. I'm not sure how you recover for Shopify in that round. That was a difficult fight through and through. Every single bit of map control Shopify wanted, they had to fight a DZ member for it. Nath in fireplace. Player on the office hatch, firing through the vertical angles that Ambi had to contest with just to keep it a 3v3. Then, of course, another 1v1 where Shopify, by the way, initially want to rush into the bathroom, and it's stopped because they accidentally throw a nade in front of their own teammate, intending it to throw through the doorway. And then right there, sure, it's late, sure, it's a little sloppy, but hey, Spoit gets in, seems to get at least a down, and we're all good. But missing the shots right there, close quarters, and Nath getting both of those, we're now in a position where Dark Zero up 5-2. They have clearly had the momentum in terms of their actual play the whole game. Now in terms of the vibes, I guarantee you they are very happy after that round. And now Spoit is 8-6, but without a clean double-digit game, Shopify are struggling, and nobody is filling the space left by Spoit.
5 seconds to go.
You need depth at this level. Shopify Rebellion usually have it.
They're heading out to defuse
It has
the bomb.
been strikingly absent. I mean, when Spoit gets, what's he at now? 25 kills, 24 kills, something along those lines.
25.
An inhuman performance for him with a very critical game on the line. But yeah, the story has been Surf, Rexen. Ambi had a bit of a resurgence in the previous game. He had a very critical final round to seal the deal for Shopify Rebellion. And to their credit, both Rexen and Surf did end up getting back to 500 and on even footing. But, I mean, these are not the juggernauts that loaded into this server. Surf being plus 22. Oh no, Canadian is so dead. www.dead.com. There you go. You just renewed the domain. What a crazy thing. Almost a third for Pambazoo. All you can do at that point is laugh. Spoit immediately gets 2 for his trouble. How big of a backpack do you think Spoit can carry?
Sport's going to need a tractor trailer. Backpack will not be sufficient.
Reload.
I mean, sure, the only reason Dark Zero in the league is a crazy Pambazoo 2K, but he was 3-6 before that. He's 5-6 afterward. It's not like Pambazoo's been backpacking DZ. Spoit's at 10 kills and Shopify only have 2 rounds. It's apples to oranges. And even the performance we had so far, even getting things back to a 3v3, I don't know if Shopify have the capabilities to bring this one back. Now, they certainly have the utility. Plenty of DE1Ds, plenty of nades, and most importantly, the firebolts and the smoke bolts. If they wanted like a very minimal, like games double window execute, they could make it work so long as they were to either waste the smokes or kill NJR. If they can accomplish those 2 things, this round could still go their way with the utility they have. And NJR is still alive, but they have a 3v2 and Citizens on 1 HP. This could very well go their way, and yet I'm still not confident.
It's way too quiet for how little time is left here in the round. Easy have been putting on a clinic on Chalet. Some of the best offensive performances from a team that we have seen on this map across all regions in a very long time. Smoke and gas go out on the side of DZ. Citizen finished off by what appears to be the smoke. He's down but not out. He can be retrieved. You're all the bullets from Shopify Rebellion trying to find the final target on DZ. NJR in back bar, waiting for them to encroach upon his position. He lets one go by. Rexon gets both. Shopify Rebellion clinging to dear life. Their third round. DZ has them right now in a terrible spot on their own map, but the climb can begin with just a single round.
It can, and got to give credit to DZ, just resetting, taking a bit of time to figure out that 3v2, but there are bigger issues we can talk about, namely that, for example, misdrones well, not the second one, that one's just crazy. Misdrones happen, though. I understand that, but one happening at this point, you got to highlight it, and it's going to cost you, but also happening for a team like Shopify, you know, I kind of just expect better of that, especially when they're droning in a shield. I expect them to be clearing positions like that, especially since if somebody's going to sit in solar to rat, that is literally the only spot they could sit. They physically could not rat anywhere else without being painfully obvious. It's the kind of thing, you know, it's not like consulate that I think, as you said one time, Parker, that's just like you got to be a roomologist to figure your way around consulate.
There's lots of PhDs being written in it, you know? It's a very popular degree right now.
And you need it to play some of the maps we got in the pool right now, but Chalet's not one of them. And Shopify can't be letting moments like that slip past, not only because they were down 5-2, now 5-3, and that's enough to swing a map in DZ's favor, but also all the teams in the league, I just kind of, I expect better of you.
Like the disappointed parent tone going on here. Rexon slaughtering Spirits. That's a lot of kills in the grave. Spirits off to a great start, but that gap has closed very quickly. I think he was 8 and 4 at one point, now 8 and 8. Spirits dying far more than usual. Again, he has the fewest deaths through this entire stage of any DZ player, but his deployment has been very much the opposite. He has led the team in deaths through these two maps. To go from being the guy who never dies to the guy who's only dying, even if he's getting some kill, that's a net negative on his ability. Not ideal. But some of these numbers on DZ will come back down to earth. Defending is a bit tougher than attacking, especially with the way the DZ was attacking.
This is a crazy lineup, by the way. Does that land? No, it doesn't. I love that though. I love the attempt, even though I think it just comes short of what he wanted. Either way, a lot of utility being dumped in by Shopify. All the nades, all the Bs, and all right. Spoit's able to hop in off the back of it. Rexon too. All right, never mind. I guess it was sufficient.
Nitro Cell primed and ready, but it'll be a desperate attempt from Citizen as he need to find... Oh no! One player on the side of Shopify Rebellion. He'll do just that. He gets Goomba stomped by Canadian, but the Goomba misses. Ultimately, Shopify Rebellion get that final kill, and they have drawn within a single round of DZ. All that hard work by Dark Zero could all be for naught. Shopify Rebellion are going to be kicking themselves when they look back to round number 7, by the way. That was the round in which Shopify Rebellion seemed to have the upper hand. Came in, guns a-blazing, had control of the site, but then it was Nafe slaughtering them all with the super shorty and hopping on the counter disable. I mean, that was a round that if Shopify Rebellion wins this, you got to imagine that they are broken the spirits of DZ and are ever closer to a 2-0 victory. A 2-0 victory is still very possible. Look at that messiness.
I love it though.
Let's keep watching it. There we go. No, I was point dropping.
How is Spoit is still getting kills? He's 29 kills so far. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff from Spoit. Still being, again, the only player up until, I will say, not to jinx it, up until Rexon, this attacking half, has had some good moments. Opening kill in round 7, 3K in round 8, and also getting the opening kill in round 9. I think it was a double for him last round. I think that's literally 6 out of his 7 kills coming in the past 3 rounds. We love that. Big fan of that. if we want a competitive game. It seems we might finally have one on our hands. Master Bedroom Office will be the pick for DZ. The one round Shopify have dropped in the attack so far, one in which, as you kind of highlighted, was brought back by Nafe with that 1v2. Yet there were still plenty of great moments for DZ, especially how well they played off each other in holding space across the map. It's something that is still going to be a factor, and I want to see how Shopify deal with it.
Flexibility again for DZ with their defending lineups as they continue to change things. Today it's the blue icons, or at least shades of blue. Purple of Fenrir, the blue of my, kind of blue of NJR's Tuberau, and then the kind of blue of Lucy Spirits.
Track sting is in play.
Let's proceed slowly.
I never realized, by the way, that the SAS operator icons had a pinkish hue to them because of the way that my monitor was calibrated. And I remember it was like the third or fourth live event I went to. I finally looked at it on a player's monitor. I was like, why are the SAS icons kind of pinkish? It turns out that that's the way it's supposed to be, and I just never really seen it.
That's a crazy skill issue from you.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
No
It's really
problem.
kind of you.
It's fine. It was
Look
a
how
lot
many blue icons there are.
There are a lot
Lava,
of
Buck, and Monty. There's a lot of blue icons right now.
blue going on here, but Dark Zero want to see the blue really show up in the kill feed, as the only thing that's happened is Pamazu being progressively whittled down to 1 HP and now, well, dead. Rexon with another opening pick. Every time Shopify got an opening pick, it's been Richie getting into the fray. And now with plenty of utility, Canadian knocking at the door with this Monty. Ideally, you'd like to take out the bathroom player, but all right, never mind. We're just getting active.
Everybody dying. Almost a flawless round again. What can NJR muster? 1 kill. That's it. 2 rounds in a row where DZ has been held to a single kill. A tie game for Shopify Rebellion as they have made the comeback possible and now find themselves in the exact same spot that they were in map number 1, 5-5.
Is a timeout question mark? Perhaps? Or perhaps? No, there we go. I was about to say. I was waiting for Kenny to start talking. These past 3 rounds have been kind of interesting because, at least in terms of how they've transpired, it hasn't felt super dominant. I think part of that is just because of the way DZ's attack went. I think that, I think we all probably got a little conditioned to the attacks winning everything immediately if they win it. So watching Shopify play, it felt a lot closer than it's actually been. Evidence, by the way, when Parker just said this is 2 rounds in a row where there was only 1 person on Shopify that died, I didn't believe him. I was like, no, these rounds have been way closer than that. And no, he's absolutely correct. Only 2 people died from Shopify in round 8, 1 person in round 9, 1 person in round 10. These have been dominant rounds, and yet they have not felt that way because of how, I suppose, diligent Shopify have been through every single instance. And I think one great example of that is look at the Master Bedroom Office round we just saw. Solar take where they get Dining in Office, West Main, Solar Stairs, that is it. Then they immediately cut off the flanks, half clear. Dark Zero are not trying to take a single inch more control than they absolutely need to. And I think that is concentrating their resources enough where they can always play trades off each other. They can immediately rotate and help each other out if need be. And I think that has been the key so far. It's been, I think, honestly, kind of a classic Shopify attack. And compared to DZ's, it just looks so different. I honestly didn't realize how dominant it was.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, a timeout to determine the fate of Dark Zero. They lose, and into the lower bracket they go. They've got 2 rounds to ensure that they either win outright or at least go to overtime and then hope for the best there. It's been a great stretch for Shopify Rebellion on what is a very decidedly attacker-favored Chalet. And again, if you're the Rebellion, you're going back to that very first round of the second half. That slipped through the fingers of SR. 6-4 realistically should be the scoreline. Man, oh man. This map has lived up to the billing. It's been just as exciting. I would actually say this has been more exciting than the Nighthaven Labs map we watched. I'm not sure if you'd agree.
I'd agree. I would, I think the thing about the Nighthaven Labs game was so much of that was really, I think the highs of the Nighthaven Labs game I don't know, though, because Dark Zero's attacking half was a... It's kind of close in my mind. I think it would also give it probably just more consistently, like, exciting for this game. There's an argument to be made for some, I think, kind of the peaks of Nighthaven being higher with that 2v4, for example. But either way here, it's been a bit slower of a game for Shopify and definitely more competitive overall, it feels round to round. In particular here, on a Bar Games defense, we're going to see Shopify really tangle with this mezzanine hold, hopping in the window. Another opening kill for Shopify. That's exactly how you want to start.
Things falling by the wayside of this DZ team. Oh, never mind. Spirits and Nath doubling up. Ambient Rexon down for the count. Canadian with some life and will now stop them from going in. Down goes the defuse kit. Being watched quite intently by Spoit, who's gotten over a dozen kills in both of these maps. Citizen finished off by Surf from above. DZ just waiting to die at this point. What retake are they going to be able to muster? As Canadian has tucked himself away by that billiard table nook. The push up from Nath. Canadian just waiting for the all clear, and he'll see one from above. Pambazoo is there. Nobody actively watching this, just waiting as long as they can. And out will go a flashbang now. Two remaining members of DZ wait out that E1D. Nath hopping on and jump out, and Shopify Rebellion will get the final 2 kills to move to series points. Worst case for SR is they go out with a loss in OT, but they bought themselves some added time, irrespective of what happens in this next round. Well, maybe not irrespective. If they win the next round, they win 2-0. But if they don't, they've bought themselves some extra time. DZ now on the precipice of defeat.
And I think the thing I appreciate about... I think I appreciate a couple things about this game. One, it feels like Shopify are back in form, in which there's very, like, small ways they're exciting, but when Shopify are good, they're boring. They are stone boring. And I think that round, aside from, again, a couple, like, small moments, is a good example of that. Because what more was there than, hey, there's 3 people roaming, nobody's in mezzanine, let's just hop in the window, get Canadian, hop through library window, get Canadian into games, get the diffuser down. We barely even need to get any kills unless Dark Zero start fighting back. And to be fair, Dark Zero does. And some of the small moments where that round is really entertaining is that engagement that Canadian has. If he dies... Diffuser stone cold inside of the site, and I don't really know if Shopify can fight back. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But all of these rounds have been Shopify identifying the exact parts of the map they need and not taking a single inch more than that. And that is where Shopify have always been, and Canadians' teams have always been at their best. When what map control they need is clearly identified, when their win cons are clearly identified, and they know that they don't need to take any more than that to succeed.
DZ has completely let this one slip through, and I mean, it's really just the sides. DZ racked them up as attackers, pulverizing the defenses of Shopify Rebellion with a tempo that is often not seen at this level. The Rebellion have been a bit more methodical, a lot slower. They've let their players do the talking. Rexon now on a positive streak. Ambi up to 8-8. Surf up to 5-5. This is exactly what happened numbers-wise, Lynx, with the first map.
I'm reloading.
Does round number 12 go the same way? Do we see 2 7-5s? Everything right now, if you're a number person, if you're into numerology, everything's pointing in that direction. The next 1 minute, 50 seconds will tell us if we're right or not.
Ooh, I think smoke going out to actually give Spirits some cover potentially to rotate back. But it's also kitchen dining defense. Could have just been worried about the West main hop in as well. Spoit has been doing crazy work with this striker, by the way. Like, he's been activated, not having to worry about anything except what utility can activate his own play. He's been playing it, I think, probably it's most played out throughout this whole series so far. As the Beasts go in, spot Nath on these stairs. Almost every toxic canister used, save for one. Shopify are struggling to break beyond the solar stairs position right now, struggling to find an isolated defender, and Spoit downed in the process, maybe not finished off, but Shopify will face the most difficult task so far.
Spoit cannot be retrieved. That's most of the kills down. Amazon will be the first one to die on the side of DZ. Ambi now taking care of. Spoit still bleeding out. Shopify Rebellion at a disadvantage in numbers, and Spirits getting lit up. Nafe low on HP. Citizens taking some beatings as well. Don't think Spoit is retrievable. Nafe now finished off. Rexin taken care of by NJR. It's all up to Surf to clutch a 1v3 overtime. Almost a certainty at this point. Surf trying to stay alive, dodging around the bullets, and NJR will send us to OT. DZ does not repeat the same mistakes of map 1. They're a bit better this time, and all it took was a couple extra kills to buy us 2 more rounds.
Well, a couple extra kills, and notably, not one on Spoit until it's auto-confirmed at the end, I believe. Just neutralizing him as a factor in this round. Not saying it was the only thing that got Shopify that victory, but are you going to tell me it wasn't an incredibly important role? Really, all Shopify seemed to get was Surf from that window, and then, of course, you can see Canadian firing through the wall at that door. But beyond that, you could also tell the map control was a little more unclear for Shopify. Where was the push going through? They wanted Solar, but Nafe was able to survive there for the majority of the round. With the Ying ban, you don't have the Candelas to maybe immediately move into that position. You've only got the bees, which spot Nafe, but Nafe knows that they know he's there, whether the bees are at his feet or not. Nafe is going to play there no matter what. We didn't really see like a buck enter to maybe try and like throw some utility from below. Shopify's problem solving wasn't as refined as we've seen in the past couple rounds, and denying complete entry into the building just stunted Shopify's growth entirely. Now as we move to the defense, which was unequivocally Shopify's worst side, I think the only issue for DZ will be Shopify are well aware of the way you played these attacks, and I don't think you'll be able to run a rush back for round number 7.
They're going to try, damn it. Oh.
They're going to try, damn it.
They're going to try, damn it. There we go. Well, I wasn't talking about the Gushmama. I was talking more about DC's lineup. But either way, I mean, it's been, at this point, about 35 minutes since your last attack. This is territory that won't be unfamiliar to Dark Zero, but certainly not with the comfort that they had when they were able to pull off 4 of those 6 attacks in a successful direction. NJR taking quite a bit of damage to start off with. Shopify Rebellion's been doing a pretty decent job at striking first through much of this second half. Defenders have it rough. Spirits will now charge in. Damage being done across the board. Ambi on the board first. Down goes NJR, the shield of Nafe. Blinded, disoriented by the Gishmat mines. No shortage of utility over towards Solarium. As Canadian's tucked into the corner, down goes Spirits. Monty pops up. Canadian in the midst of the smoke as Pambazu finds 2 out of nowhere. Pambazu might have single-handedly saved the round as he finds a third. And Ambi in a 1v3, watching Shopify Rebellion get such a sizable leg up, but everything is falling apart. A Nitro Cell tossed a bit too short. 3 players from DZ all looking for the final kill onto the youngster from SR, and Pambazu will pick up a massive 4K as DZ takes the lead in OT.
Oh, you've got to feel for Canadian there. I get the idea. The entire attack, aside from that Montaigne, is rushing into bathroom. You know that because of where those smokes got placed, they're not going to anticipate you swinging out of that door. And you think, surely I can swing out and tag somebody before the Monty unshields and hit me, right? But unfortunately for him, the rest of the attack was flooding in much quicker than he expected, and with the smoke around the corner, it ends up being quite a misplay from Canadian. I'm not saying that was the thing that lost the round. I think the bigger deal is Pambazu pushing in through bathroom. But a moment right there where maybe he was backing up a little instead, joining and forming a crossfire on the bathroom door. Maybe he's able to get the trade on the opposite side, catch them coming out instead of going in. It's still overall a very good Dark Zero round where, contrary to my expectations, they do keep that pace up, and whilst it's not Spirits that gets activated on the Ying, it's Pambazu just barely or almost breaking even.
That's why these players are so crucial on the team, and why a player like Pambazu can always rise to the occasion. Pambazu's been invisible for most of the day. And not that I want to tear him down, but I don't think DZ performs as poorly as they do if Pambazoo was playing better. But you can always correct the record, and that's what Pambazoo is trying to do. His play has gotten better. Pamba just leveling up the deeper we go into these games, the deeper we go into these maps. Very similar to what we saw out of Fultz in the matchup that just occurred. These are big game players. You don't win world championships, you don't win majors without being a clutch player who can show up big in the moments that matter. Pambazoo just so happens to be one of those players. Against the toughest competition, he does not shrink. And right now, with his team on the ropes, Pambazoo is showing up huge for DZ. Another big round from him, and we are off to Cafe as a tiebreaker. Attackers have been doing very well, though. So let's not write off Shopify Rebellion just yet. 2 minutes remain in this round. The Shopify Rebellion attacking links, it's going to be a bit slower.
Which I want. I said I want them stone boring. I want this to be a slow game. I want clear priority, or clear identification, clear prioritization. I want it to be a step-by-step game for Shopify because that always seems to be where this team succeeds. I say that, Surf is on Dokkaebi, and whenever you see someone get set up at a window like that, you know they're waiting for the call to hop in. There's maybe a little bit of flexibility introduced with the destruction of that mirror window. You know, if somebody's playing there, they're going to be a little exposed. Oh, but Citizen pops back down right at the most important time, but then hops back up into Ambi's crosshairs. Surf moving in, taking the vertical fight on the player inside a bathroom. But Shopify with a very important 5v4 and also important control to masturbate him off his defense, and you want to make sure that no defender can rotate down below and use any of the 3 C4s that Dark Zero have remaining. But NJR, spotting Rexon playing on the angles, might spot another as Ambi walking down below. It seems Dark Zero might have accounted for this. Yet there's still plenty to do, Parker. We got Dokkaebi calls, nades, and 50 seconds to go. I'm still worried about Dark Zero's utility, though. 2 C4s, Zotos, and a smoke canister. Shotguns, too. Dark Zero seemed to have everything covered.
Dave's used 1 C4 Spirits now as well. Explosive potential only in the hands of NJR. That might be all she wrote. No explosive or no explosive. Right now, Shopify Rebellion suffering no fools, but hang on a second. A 4v2 is swung back to a 2v2. Limited time for Shopify Rebellion as the captain of SR and Ambi stand tall against Nafe and NJR. Quite the story here for these teams. Shopify Rebellion looking to close this out in 2 maps. They need to win this round, and only Nafe stands in between them.
C4!
Where are you? Nafe coming back to the bomb site. Canadian getting diffuser down, but Ambi's got the coverage, and we will go all the way. A 15th round is needed between these two as Canadian and Ambi manage to hang on by a thread.
Oh my God, he used a C4. I cannot believe it. Now, to be fair, they were not operating with much information. That was always going to be the biggest downside with Dark Zero playing a plant denial like that. There were very little intel gathering devices, very little bulletproof cameras on the site. They were always going to be flying a little bit blind with that C4. But Nate throwing it and it not hitting, that could have either been the thing that sent Shopify to map 3 or the thing that allowed them into the site and it going wide. And also, I think unfortunately, that other Dark Zero player finding themselves in the middle of that crossfire. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's the IGL being alive in the clutch. The coordination between Canadian and Spoit in rounds past, I think Ambi in that round, they have those 2 players in the 2vx's on attack and defense have been coordinating so well for Shopify, and it is not only saved map 1, as it very well could have gone DZ's way had they not clutched a big 2vx, and it's just saved map 2 as well.
Curious as to why we're getting a tech pause here. I think it is actually...
It is a tech pause.
Was it which team? That would have been SR that called it then, right?
Yes.
Okay, because it originally, when I first looked up, it said technical, so I mean, it must have... Maybe I missed that one. But I was going to say, I actually think a not terrible idea, though I know that some teams might not like it, would be when 15 rounds starts, because you don't get any timeouts in OT, a mandatory 15 to 20 second timeout before the 15th round could be a cool idea. Just to ensure we're getting a great 15th round. But I think the counter argument to that is that if a team wins the previous round, they don't want a timeout. They just want to go right into it. So either way, I was like, oh, that'd be kind of neat. And that's just me spitballing here some ideas. Not that I'm a dev or anything.
Locate a bomb and defuse it.
Round 15. Ambi pulling out the Boss G Vigil. Also, Ambi on Boss G Vigil. Spoit on Pulse with the M10. This is it. That was a little too scary. It's a very interesting operator lineup and a very interesting selection, especially since we saw Canadian playing this position before with the exact operator and the same lineup being tracked in the process. NJR going to hunt him down. It's a good support by Shopify, though, as Ambi is also joining around Spoit, but just as the defenders have moved into bar and games, DZ are starting to surround that very location with Candelas with 4 different players. He has Ambi peeks, Citizen down in the process.
No.
That's a 5v4, but Dark Zero can still capitalize.
Ambi took a bit of damage in the process, and he had the Ying not too far removed with that shotgun in hand.
I thought they were going to commit. I thought they were going to hop in like a window or something and maybe try and like push off the back of it, but no. Dark Zero just completely rotated, which I don't think is a bad idea. You have a lot of utility and, you know, live to fight another day and all that. But now Citizen just dies basically for no reason. Ambi can get back to sight, but now it seems Dark Zero again trying to move quick.
There go the Candelas. Nave taking a beating as he hops in the window. The gas will also claim Pambazoo. Damage being done, NJR on the board. Pistol out, Nave falling back. NJR, a huge round as now Spirits looks to take advantage of that. Through the smoke, NJR killing everybody. Spoit and Surf, last 2 standing. DZ with 3 up. This is for the series. If you're DZ, you need to win this or you go home. Spoit's been just terrific, but NJR a 4K. My God, big money mayhem for the mayor. And we've got a 3rd map between these teams, Lynx.
Yes, we do. And Cafe up next. Not my favorite map, Parker, but boy, between these 2 teams, is it going to be exciting. And what a better moment to end things off. An NJR 1v2 to start and an NJR 4K to get things over the finish line. I think Shopify gonna feel that was a heartbreaker with how that round was going. A lot of control of the site, the initial entry completely faltering for DZ. If NGR decides to begin and end things on his terms, Cafe coming up right after this. By the way, 2 players you highlighted about glazing players. I can't help but notice that 2 of them were on Dark Zero. And I think that is very important because one of them being NJR, who is the standout player for Dark Zero on the previous map, and Pamazoo, a player that we were hoping to see more of. Didn't see necessarily some big highlights from him, but he was putting in the work, I would say, consistently on Chalet to get us to this position as well. We don't see, unfortunately, any Ying, as she's banned, but we don't see any of the crazy Glaz or stuff like that. Though we do see a Warden ban from DZ, and I do think that'll be important. We've got a Sens and a Blackbeard and Aurora. Could still be a quick strat, but I think with the absence of the Ying, it's not going to be as flashy as we saw previously. The ROU projectors at the beginning of the round will allow somebody to either walk into red, depending on where that's placed, or at least just drop down new balk and I'll have to worry about somebody swinging. But Dark Zero are already giving us a very different look as they are taking a lot of time early to set themselves up later.
It's like they say, you dot your T's and you cross your I's, right? And that's how you arrive at a good conclusion.
Drone active.
No, you're not even gonna, okay.
No, sorry, I'm locked in. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing a DZ. Oh my! Oh, they do know this guy's here. Oh, that's rough. Oh, they didn't even get him.
No, they got Ambi instead. They've locked off the advance back to Cocktail, so DZ has a safer way in now. Still a bit of trepidation as to whether or not they'll go for it. Canadian shredding through Pambazoo. Canadians had a very good day. I don't know if that's good or bad. Usually that is bad. So, I mean, given the fact that Rexon and Sir have been going neutral, I suppose that's kind of bad. Rexon eliminates Spirits. Spirits leading the way on DZ in a pretty unideal category, which is deaths. I don't know, 3 remaining players of DZ out on Repel. have the job to be done. Nafe will repel right in, trying to find some safe passage for himself to get Diffuser down as Rexon finds his second kill. Nafe's fellow countryman, Citizen, is no more, and now NJR will assume the position on Repel. Nafe had attempted the defuse plant, but thought otherwise. Instead, they've got to narrow the numbers down, so he'll go fishing for kills, looking towards back bar, looking towards that bar freezer, looking towards the Mura window, and, well, an explosion down below as he finds one player from SR, cannot connect. He and NJR will double up now. Down goes Spoit, watching over towards White. Nave has the read with 15 seconds left to get Diffuser past the halfway point. NJR batting cleanup, but they don't see Surf, who hops up on the counter. NJR no real time to get that Diffuser, so he's going to go for kills. Right now, the Rebellion playing keep away, and Surf will shred through him to give the first round to SR. Oh, to be Shopify Rebellion, if only that had been round 15 on map 2. You would be up 2-0, and the show would be over. You'd be prepping for OXG tomorrow. But no, instead, more VODs for your opponents to watch, and another map for these opponents to dissect for both Easy and Shopify Rebellion.
I'm just gonna say this out the gate. I appreciate you like doing the hype about giving me time to make a point. I'm now gonna take advantage of that and talk about something that is somewhat relevant, but not entirely. I really appreciate, as someone who always makes that head hole on the single panel on Cocktail and Ranked, I'm happy to see that it actually gets use. I always do it, and it like rarely ever finds anything. And what do we have? Somebody hops up on top of the bar and through that head hole gets an angle on Nafe, putting the diffuser down. Is that what that hole is for? Not entirely. But I do appreciate, because I always make that hole and it never feels like it really does much.
10 seconds left before insertion.
I was happy to see that. Anyway, it was also just kind of a strange round, generally. Dark Zero stuck on Cocktail, and I'm like, oh, they're going to pinch this guy, and they do. And then
Attackers are heading out to defuse
everything
the
seems
bomb.
to kind of go right from there as everyone from Shopify just fall back to Christmas and basically are like, all right, well, we'll just rotate to the opposite side. And if you want to rappel into the site, have fun playing with 2 rooms and everything, every floor soft.
Get a good look at them.
Softwood Lumber, you know what? Not gonna get into it.
I was about to say, I had no idea where you're going there. Did you say softwood lumber?
Softwood Lumber, a key point of discussion for Canada and America now.
Oh,
But
softwood lumber. I didn't know if that was 3 words or 2.
why does that matter?
Well, it's like softwood lumber. It's like, okay, that doesn't make sense, but it seems like an incomplete thought. But if you just said softwood lumber 2 words, that at least is like, okay, you're saying
Or the 2
like,
words, soft and then wood lumber?
No, you did.
Can't say that on television.
Sorry,
It's not allowed.
my bad.
Verboten. Banned.
Nothing mad.
Speaking of banned, by the way, I mentioned this earlier, but Dark Zero banning the Warden again and not running the Glass back, which, again, you don't have to run Glass with a Warden. It's kind of the... Ying is the main thing you kind of ban the Warden for, but you would be able to throw those smokes down and bring a Glass to look through the light screens or the smoke canisters. It's kind of interesting Dark Zero not doing that. A big focus on the shield, kind of like Night Haven, and anything resembling Night Haven is not a good idea if you're Dark Zero. Not to say it can't work, especially Citizen walks in, gets the first kill, and immediately backs off as top floor control seems to be firmly in the hands of Dark Zero. As Pamazu clears that quick and seems the round will fall soon after.
Well, one thing I will... You think you've seen it all. And then a Blackbeard hauls ass across the top floor, drops Laundry Hatch, and Rexon, who admittedly is deaf in one ear,
True. Actually, I always forget about that.
doesn't hear a freight train coming.
There was actually, again, sorry. This actually does connect to what you're talking about. There is actually a round I saw. I don't remember what game it was, but there is a round where Rexon almost lost a 1PX. I think it was on Clubhouse because the guy planting was to his left and he's deaf in his left ear, I think. I don't remember which one, but it was on the side he was deaf on and he almost lost it as a result because he didn't hear the sound cue. Anyway, getting back on track, dialing back in. Complete role reversal for Dark Zero. Before, they were stuck on Cocktail, never made it past. This time, they repelled into Cocktail, and it seemed like literally everybody that challenged them died in the process, which is the case because it was a flawless round. But I was kind of worried that with just the Blackbeard, we'd see them kind of struggle a little bit. but managing a pretty vacant top floor quite nicely, moving in, never really kind of losing the momentum throughout the course of that attack. It's been a bit of just a strange couple rounds so far early on.
5 seconds
And
remaining.
finally, no! I was gonna say finally we have the glass, then NJR switched to
Use the
Blackbeard.
bomb.
That's why you don't talk about operator lineups until they're locked in.
Well, I know, but it was literally
You
1 second.
fool!
It was 1 second until it was locked in. I thought it'd be safe. There's a mistake on my part.
It's okay, we forgive you.
I mean, it's still going to be a quick rush. I was about to say double shield through bakery, it seems. The Aurora doors to hop into small bake. That seems to be the play.
It should be pretty apparent that with the exception of Nighthaven Labs, DZ has assessed how lethargic Shopify Rebellion can be as defenders. So why not? They only have one speed, and that is just go, 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 go. They're off to the races. Spoit not credited with the kill, but down goes NJR. Pambazu follows. They're dying so fast, the kill feed's disappearing, and it's a flawless round answered back. Okay, so flawlessly won by DZ, now flawlessly won by Shopify Rebellion. If they keep going in that manner, the Rebellion will win, as they have the upper hand here. But, I mean, hard to analyze that, right? They ran in, they tried to isolate Spoit with that grenade, push him off of his spot, weren't able to do that. Couldn't shove him aside. Barreled into prep.
I think the one kind of fun thing you could talk about is I think that's an example of a Dark Zero round that if we're on Chalet, where importantly Ying is not banned, things probably go differently. Because you can throw the Candelas into sight, you can throw some smokes, and then what Dark Zero would do, when they would throw the smokes, the Ying, whether it was Spirits or anybody else, would run through it, and off the back of the smokes, plus the Candelas they would then throw in the process, would cause chaos inside with the shotgun. But obviously, all Warden is banned. Ying is now banned here. And whereas before, that player in Bakery, super blind, not doing anything. Players in sight, super blind, not doing anything, and the Warden's banned so nobody can see through. There, you're on the same playing field as the rest of the defenders, and so Shopify at least have a greater opportunity to take those engagements and win them. Whereas before on Chalet, you had this weird asymmetry between what the attack could bring and what the defense could not.
Discover the location of a bomb.
But aside from that, that's about the only, I'd say, an interesting or salient note I have.
Very salient note indeed there, fellow adult. Great point. Hey, look at that, Dark Zero. Oh, look what I did. I talked about it before they locked it in. Wouldn't that be foolish?
All right. Like, we're going to mock me.
Yes, I do actually.
Oh,
That's how it works. DZ really liked their lineup to the point that they opted to keep everybody as is, except swapping out the Thatcher for a Lion. I think that's the right call when you see the operators that are brought. What realistically is an EMP going to do against most of this SR lineup?
Transfer underway.
Sorry, I kicked my cat by mistake.
sorry. Wait, was that a rhetorical question again?
No. That was me being sincere. I didn't kick my cat. My desk is a standing desk, and he was actually sitting directly under me, and I went to move my leg, and I knocked his ball, and he ran after
Sorry,
it. So
I
I just
got-
wanted to make sure he was okay.
I don't know if it was another one of those non-rhetorical questions, or as
I don't want to be
Everyone else
tasing
calls
our
them.
animals on stream or anything.
everyone else calls them questions. By the way, something I do want to mention. There's an interesting trend I've seen. That's really not like a major thing, but I don't know, something cool. A couple teams will really just like on some maps put their star player on Scopos, and the two main teams I see do it are Liquid with Maya, and then Spoit with the Rebellion. Just kind of giving your star fragger a get out of jail free card, the ability to rotate and make plays wherever they want, and maybe teleport across the map depending on where the other shield is. It's not something I see like a lot of teams do, but it is something I've seen. I know Liquid and Shopify do off the top of their head. And I also think W7M to a certain extent. Could see Spoit have some impact, as it's a huge utility dump from Dark Zero and a shield off the back of it.
Slower pace than we've come to expect here on this map, but hang on a second. Two players just died in the blink of an eye. Ambi, the only one that's seemingly showing up here. Answer back. Down goes Pambazu, the glass that has been so effective at paralyzing these defenders, forcing them to stay in place. Canadian gets hit with the running man, and Citizen decides to empty the mag for added measure. I think he's dead, and I don't think you needed more than that.
Reload.
Serve with a nice shot on a Nafe. That was underneath New Bauk, pulls out the Deagle, and almost had another for his trouble. Looking for a rehost after this. regardless of what happens in this round. Numbers being kept close, though, by Rexon, who's been great. Rexon and Sir finally having games up to their standards. Rexon will need to go for a 6th kill, 5th and 6th. But he just can't outshoot the gridlock. She's a strong force. A real sturdy operator, and she survives that mag from the Vector. Will likely have a rehost here, as once again, tied at 2 rounds apiece. These have been very competitive games. Neither of these teams have really been able to shake each other. Obviously, the first half of Chalet told a very different story, and then the second half had to match it. But maps 1 and 2 have just been back and forth over and over. Despite the standings, it would seem that these two teams are a bit more evenly matched.
A bit more evenly matched in what has been a very...
It's not a rhetorical statement.
I was responding as you said that. I knew it wasn't rhetorical. I was starting to make a point. Anyway, a very close game and what have been very topsy-turvy rounds. Round 1, bar cocktail, as I mentioned a couple times. Dark Zero just seemingly stuck for a good portion of it. Round 2, flawless for DZ. Round 3, flawless for Shopify. That round, it seems like Dark Zero have a way in. Takes a long time to get there, but it seems like they have a way in on the cocktail side. Then all of a sudden, Shopify do the same thing where they fall back to Christmas. They get some gunfights. Then NJR decides to do NJR things and get it. Why are we doing this? Then get another 3K. It's been a bit hard to read this game, to be entirely honest with you, especially with how chaotic and, I suppose, rapid fire these rounds have been when they have gotten started. So I guess I should be used to at this point, given how Dark Zero played their attacks on Chalet, but I think it's just not been as successful, or I suppose not as perfect as it seemed those Chalet attacks could be. We'll still have that tech pause, of course. We're trying to get people back into the lobby. I have to imagine, given that we just saw a cocktail defense not go Shopify's way, kitchen is still locked. So maybe we'll see a reading room attempt, Parker, when we come back.
It's one of those bomb sites that make an awful lot of sense. All 4 sites are viable here on Cafe.
I don't know about that.
You disagree?
I don't get me wrong. I don't think like top floor is non-viable, but it's definitely like by far and away the weakest site here. And I think usually a lot of teams will, teams will go to it. Like Shopify, for example, going to it twice. But I do think it is the weakest site on this map. Also, I did want to mention, I actually completely forgot to bring this up. I really liked the way they used the glass that round. That is something very similar to what we saw on Chalet. And I think Dark Zero kind of realizing, hey, we had a good thing going.
5 seconds remaining.
Maybe we should bring that back.
Attackers must locate and defuse.
Well, the hot bug seems to have been fixed on the side of Canadian. He's going to bring the wet pool noodle gun yet again. Would you like to criticize a multi-time world champion on the broadcast?
I didn't criticize him for bringing the.
Would you like to criticize a multi-time world champion, major winner, U.S. Nationals winner, DreamHack multi-time runner-up,
Brunch Wars winner?
Brunch Wars winner. Would you like to criticize that player? How many pro games have you played again?
I just want to make it clear.
How many pro games?
I did not criticize him for running the M10. I just said that was crazy. Some people shut up. Some people thought I was criticizing JV92 with a bit Ollie and I were doing. And I generally I try not to criticize too much. Especially if it's Canadian, because he will make fun of me in ways that will be very hurtful when next time I see him in person. You'll notice all of my weird quirks and tics. Be like, why do you hold out your arm when you're trying to make a point? Why are you trying to stiff arm me? By the way, this is huge. Shopify have completely seen the rush that Dark Zero are about to do and are completely ready for it as a result of this Bulls pick.
Nitrocell goes out and it claims 2 for its trouble. Spoit the only one to die so far. Spoit putting in a bit of a poor performance compared to maps 1 and 2, where he dropped, 30 kills across those 2? Quite a triumphant day for the Swede. But now it's time for the rest of the team to step up to the plate. It cannot be the Spoit show all day. That's why you have depth. You do not have Surf, Rex, and Ambi on a team for them to go even. You go positive. That is what they are designed to do. They were built in the lab, actually, to kill, and they are doing a mighty good job of it on this map.
No.
So is DZ, as they found 2 for their troubles. Surf and Canadian standing alone. Yet again, Shopify Rebellion outnumbered. Down goes Pambazoo, a nice line of fire from Surf. Surf is just a terrific player who can stack up against the best of the best. His stock has continued to rise as he's become familiarized, and there's multi-time 6 invitational winner and major winner, Canadian, using the Reaper MK2. Now it's Nave advancing as both players from Shopify Rebellion try to buy time so they can link up, and would you look at that, Canadian gets the job done. Anything you want to say?
That's the kind of talent you need to win the brunch wars.
Thank you. How dare you? Look, I'm just winding you up to let you go. That was, all things considered, that was a round that probably should not have been won by Shopify Rebellion. Where did everything go wrong, though?
Well, see, but that's the thing, is I disagree with you, yet I also agree with you, because this game has been very hard to track in terms of the pacing within these rounds. Because I would argue at the start of that round, that was absolutely a round Shopify should have won. Dark Zero went for a White Stairs rush, which is kind of like the shiny variant of the dining or reading or dining or second floor rushes, because normally it's the blitz in through the mining window. This one's up White Stairs. But because he has the pulse, he spots it, throws a C4, gets the whole thrust of the rush. That should be a Shopify round at that point, unless Dark Zero are able to work the mid game, which they do, and find picks back. Now, it's not like it should be a Dark Zero round at that point, but they're firmly in the lead, and it looks like Shopify struggling for answers. And then Canadian gets a 4K to finish out the round, because over on Red Stairs, fortunately, that position goes uncleared by DZ, and the momentum swings back in their favor. So, by the middle of that round, if you were to say Shopify should not have won that round, you're probably correct. If you were to rewind a minute, you would not have been correct. And you could also apply this to every single round we've seen so far that hasn't been flawless. It's like, oh, they should win. Oh, now they should lose. Oh, never mind, they won.
And if you go back in time about 9 months and said that Shopify Rebellion should win the round, people would say they don't even have a team in the league.
Actually, you would, because Shopify Rebellion came in before Stage 2 of last year.
If you go back 19 months, you know, at one point, they used to think it was 9 months, but then they realized it was 19 months.
They did. They did realize that.
They did realize that.
Cocktail defense, by the way, to finish things off. I will say, I am surprised we actually are seeing Cocktail a third time and not seeing another attempt at reading. As, I mean, to be fair, Shopify won this twice. Sorry, no, excuse me. They won it once, lost it once. But I'm surprised because of the fact that while Dark Zero have so much struggled with it, Shopify did lose it to a pretty big play by the Glaz here. You can see some attempts to counter it. Smoke's going into the immediate Red Stairs entry. Also, I imagine players like the Azami stationed deep inside of Christmas to deny any angles on that side of the map. Shotgun playing close to the door too. Shopify investing a lot in making sure that nobody can walk through Red Stairs for free or walk through it alive. And now that Dark Zero don't have an opportunity to immediately sprint into the site and kind of speed up the pace, it seems like they are really struggling to find a way in.
Citizen with the leadoff pick, this yo-yo match that we've seen where it goes up and down, should benefit Dark Zero. We're about to see a Rotero drone kill. No, it sounded like a Rotero drone. That was a weird, did you hear that sound?
It sounded like an explosion to me.
It sounded like a Rotero drone about to set off, but then I was like, wait, there's no...
It just down spirits through the wall.
That's odd. Yeah, so it's fun because Rainbow Six has soft floors and soft walls. You can shoot through them and down people.
Keep going.
Okay. Spirits gets retrieved by the waiting arms of Pambazoo on Red Stairs, and what a lead DZ has with 35 seconds remaining. Canadian has the most kills on Shopify Rebellion right now. That is usually a troubling sign. He has been having a pretty good day numbers-wise. The team's superstars, though, have not. Ambi's having a really rough day across the board. Canadian gets punished by Spirits. There's a drop, and DZ will sweep through what little remained to tie things up. just been back and forth and back and forth and back and forth all the way to the midpoint of this series. No closer to a conclusion, just as we saw in map number 1.
And I have to admire Dark Zero's tenacity throughout this whole series. Arguably could have or should have won map 1. Arguably maybe should not have won map 2, but they pull through with some pretty massive performances. And here, they are constantly put in baffling situations that are very difficult to deal with players on all sides, variables shifting moment to moment, and needing players to go big. And it constantly seems like they have players, but let's be honest, specifically NJR over the course of the series, who is not making a single wrong move. And the rest of the team is doing just enough to aid it and push it over the line. Again, not to say that it's entirely a one-man show, but look at all those rounds. Parker described it as a yo-yo game, and I would absolutely agree. And ironically, with NJR going down, not really having that much impact, a lot of that was built off the fact of Shopify, you know, swinging on that doorway, right into a player from Dark Zero waiting. Spirits going for a backstab very late in the round, but taking a 1v1 that he's favored to win, to be fair, with the shotgun. It just, honestly, I thought I would kind of form a coherent point as this went on, but to be honest, I can't really tell you like a big trend. It's just been a really back and forth game when it comes to the pacing.
It just shows that the map pool lines up really well between the two teams. You know, the fact that the first map goes all 12 rounds without overtime. Second map goes all rounds in overtime. Now here we are where it's 3-3. It's possible one of these teams takes off like they've got a rocket strapped to their back here in the second half, but with the way that the first 2 maps have gone, I think it's a safe bet to assume that we're going to go deep into this map. 11 rounds, 12 rounds, maybe even OT. Canadian seems to have this mental hump against his former teams that he just struggles to get over. He can bully other teams, but against DZ, against SSG, against EG way back in the day, he struggles. I don't know if it's a mental game. I don't know if it's that he goes into the matches thinking that he knows exactly what they're going to do based off of what they did when he was on it. Maybe it's overconfidence. I'm not sure. It's not correct to blame him. And that's certainly not what I'm doing, because by all measures, he's had a very good structural game. He's had some sloppy gunfights that, well, we can replay for posterity's sake, but overall, he has shown up today. Same cannot be said for everybody else on the team. Consistency issues from the fraggers have been a sore spot for this team through much of stage 2, and we've seen it with the exception of Spoit here today.
Which we're not seeing in this game, by the way, as Spoit is finally starting to drop off quite dramatically on these defenses. He was doing a lot of work on the attacks for Shopify, to be fair. So if we're going to see him turn up, this would be the moment. Especially since putting Spoit on an operator like Gridlock is a really good decision. Well, putting your fraggers on Gridlock on Cafe specifically is a really good decision, because most of the time you're going to put like 2 to 3 track stingers on or around red stairs, and that means they obviously have one, but they can just use that F90, move through the top floor, Ambi as well with this R4C. What a deadly entry duo we have here, in theory, if they can start performing with that first kill. They find a nice shot to the Blackbeard, and then Spoit followed up. Oh, wow. It seems like it might be nice, but things collapse so rapidly for Dark Zero, or for Shopify, excuse me.
And this has been happening through all of these matches. The action comes fast and furious. You saw it on the first half of Chalet when DZ were committing a breakneck pace. We saw it in the final moments of most rounds on Nighthaven Labs, a far slower and map that requires you to plot and plot along. Here on Cafe, when these teams come to blows, they come to blows very quickly, and that's good, frankly. It shows that you're close enough that you can trade out. Most teams would dream of trades this quickly, but it does cause a bit of chaos. Surf eliminating Knave keeps numbers closer, but DZ still with the upper hand for the final 30 seconds.
Activating shock drone.
Rexon's upstairs. He'll leave a drone for flank watch. He's got the case in hand. He'll shepherd this diffuser into reading. To be a little bit concerned, though, with that bookcase. Nice read onto the gas canister. Rexon is not afraid at all of anybody. He's got the diffuser. He's running out of time. Surf has killed everybody except for Pambazoo, who will now make his way over towards reading door. All Surf needs to do is buy time, But he runs out of bullets and leaves Rexon to die alone. A blunder by Shopify Rebellion gives DZ the lead.
I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to do at this point. Like, I need a second. Let me watch these.
By all means, Captain.
I like that we kept talking about how this is a topsy-turvy game. It's a yo-yo game. It's an inconsistent game. And then we have potentially the premier example of that phenomenon in one round. I'm not even, no analysis is about to happen, just to be clear. Let's just run that one back, okay? Ambi, halfway into the round, runs into the top floor. Opening pick. Shopify just moving across the top floor, not running into any obstacles. They've got almost full control of everything. Then they get hit by a C4. I think a flank, if I'm wrong. I actually think it wasn't a flank. It might have just been a player on white stairs. But then they get hit by a C4 and a bunch of pre-held angles by Dark Zero. 2v4. Okay, that didn't seem how the round was going. But I guess we're here now. Then, 30 seconds later, Surf gets a kill. All right, whatever, who cares? That is 9 seconds remaining. Surf walks into sight, gets 2, and of course everyone reasonably is like, oh, the vibes are on Shopify's side. We're feeling good now. Surf is in the position to get the diffuser down. Then he runs out of ammo after missing the Goyo on the cross, and then Rexon dies at 000 with the diffuser in hand. Like, how are you supposed to track what's happening? How are you supposed to get invested? Your team's losing, then 30 seconds later they're winning, then 30 seconds later they've lost.
And the schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
That doesn't even connect.
Oh, you were just listing off tons of things, and that's how it goes in the movie, but...
I haven't seen the movie in a while. I feel like Violet Beauregard right now. I'm like... I'm about to explode.
First Maestro of the day. We've had... quite the swath of operators between these two teams. We noted it back in map number 1 as Ambi's the first casualty. 1 minute and 20 seconds. Down he goes. Ambi's been having a rough day. I don't know if it's been at the direction of Canadian. I don't know how much of this is him all on his own, but...
Well, there he was Skylight. I think he just got smoked off Skylight by Citizen. Not saying everything else is true, but he might have just got rocked.
Right, but you're 2-7, and this is not his first rough game.
Yes, that's a fair point to make.
Oh, Spirits was
that
just...
sounded nasty.
Headed. That was like wet meat hitting pavement.
Oh my, that's a horrific image.
Like the wet meat, or... were you casting when England, former player England, used to change his name to Wet Meat?
Yeah, I was here for that. Also, by the way, I like the strategy from Dark Zero, the K2 route to stop anybody from like breaching and pushing up. And while they have worked the Montier and this is a very weird position for a defender to find themselves in. And also another very weird trend of the round. As Pamazu, right as Canadian un-ADSs, loses his life in the process. That's diffuser in the hands of the defense. And yet it seems, despite that, Shopify will be able to close things out, as Pamazu, with 1 HP, is easy fodder for Surf. A failed 3K in round 7, and he redeems himself with a 4K in round 8.
Well, once again, going back to this whole yo-yo style between these teams, a seesaw, teeter-totter, whatever you want to call it, but it's been a back and forth
look up a new analogy.
I mean, I'm reaching for them. There's a lot of different analogies that we can use here, but neither of these teams have been able to shake each other. Maps 1, Map 3 playing out stylistically very, very similar. Map 2 is obviously DZ in the lead. SR clawed it back, ultimately fell short at the final moments, and that's why we're here in map number 3. But they're just so evenly matched, and each round is just, you go round by round, minute by minute. It's almost as if it's at 0 every single time these teams are playing each other. And you got to take it round by round. Again, I know you disagreed with me, but all 4 bomb sites can get played.
No, that's
we are seeing teams rotate through what does and doesn't work. And frankly, it's anybody's guess as to which of these teams is going to come out ahead.
10 seconds left.
Yeah. Also, just to be
5 seconds left.
quite frank, who's going to come ahead in the rounds, in the halves,
Attackers are
in the
heading out to
minutes,
defuse a bomb.
in the individual gunfights. It is a very hotly contested game at the moment. Has featured a lot of big individual moments from Shopify. Canadian 4K, 2 Surf multi-frags, albeit only 1 in a round they actually won. And now as Dark Zero lose Cocktail, they will retreat to the safety of the second floor. Different site, as it was reading that they won round 7. They'll go to Fireplace now. Shopify will seemingly again play things at the pace they want, likely using Canadian on the roam clear to clear out Cocktail, and then they'll decide where to push in later. But you know there's going to be a full clear, especially with Ambi, with that the boogie drones for Vert.
Drone active.
Drone active.
Tracks in action. Track stick is active.
Lark's pick rate has continued to go upwards. She brings an awful lot to the table. She's particularly strong on this map. Flank watch is her specialty. Might not be quite so important as now Pambazoo's dead. Means that DZ can't send somebody on flank watch with the same confidence, given that they're down in numbers. But I mean, she's a 3 HP, or a 3 health, if you want to call it. Not 3 armor any longer. She can survive a lot more bullets. We saw that in the fight just a couple rounds ago. You've got a super shorty for quick destruction work, whether it be on the floors below you or walls, as we just saw Spoit do. Nades being brought, track stingers for anti-flank, but they also make a lot of noise. And the F90 is deceptively one of the best guns in the game. So, really isn't much she doesn't bring. Canadian now taking matters into his own hands. Down goes 1. He's traded out immediately. Is that some shield-on-shield violence? Nafe at pillars, down by reading door, will take out Canadian, lose most of his HP in the process. And now there's a run out by Spirits amidst the smoke. A brilliant play by Spirits, but was read so effectively by Surf. Are we about to see only the second consecutive round won by a team? DZ won the final round of the first half, then won the first round of the second half. Now it looks like Shopify Rebellion's going to stitch 2 together, unless Nafe and Citizen are able to work some magic.
And I don't really see the likelihood of that happening. Nafe is on 1 HP, has to have his gun up, so the importance of the clash isn't even going to really be a factor unless he can find a place to plant it. Shopify at 50 seconds. Not a lot of drones, to be fair, but still 50 seconds to kind of get a good vision of what they want. Citizen goes down as well. Or sorry, excuse me, Nafe goes down as well. Citizen finds a kill on, to be fair, the unequivocally most important, most impactful member of Shopify, and won't get any kills further after that. Shopify will indeed put 2 rounds together. And by God, 3 rounds in a row, we've had a Surf 3K. This time playing around the snow door and the cocktail windows, making a master class of those repels, facilitating the whole team getting inside of the building, getting that initial control on the top floor that was oh so important. Because while it wasn't reading room, they weren't getting control directly above the site. They were getting a foothold in the building, and most importantly, they were taking care of those roamers on the top floor, which is always going to be the most difficult prospect.
Is this a timeout being called by DZ, or are we just seeing player cams here? No, it is. It is a timeout by Dark Zero, so I think this is about the best time you can do it, right? If you win this round, then it goes to a 5-5 scoreline, something that we have seen in every map between these two teams. It'd be very familiar territory for both. Fortunately for DZ, they've been on the wrong side of round 11 in both previous maps. But yeah, I mean, with how close this has been, and with how it goes back and forth, at this point, you've given the upper hand to Shopify Rebellion. Maybe they've earned it. Maybe you've given it. We can use whatever terminology we want. But the fact is that DZ now is on their back foot. They need to settle themselves down. The biggest help that they had was that the gunners on Shopify Rebellion were asleep. They are awake now. Spoit has been brought back down to earth. Surf is carrying far more of the load, as is Rexon. Canadian's doing his job. I mean, what more can you say? DZ have their hands full. And on the side of DZ, their fraggers are awake. It's not like they're not killing. Both NJR and Pambazoo are standing up well to the opposition. It's just structurally, they're struggling. When you are defending on a map like Cafe, you need to be a touch better. Kangaroo Kenny likely assessed that, and DZ used their timeout.
Good time to do it as well when you get to go back to the reading room, the one site that has worked for Dark Zero so far. One big difference that we saw from Dark Zero initially was running Cade Tuber out to waste time. We saw that in round 7, saw that in round 8, And basically what they would do was, whether they were defending the third floor
10
in
seconds
name
left
only,
before insertion.
or defending the third floor in name, or defending it effectively,
5 seconds
by
to
roaming
insertion.
up top on the second floor, you fully electrify the
Attackers'
bathroom
objective is to
walls,
locate a bomb and defuse
yeah,
it.
sometimes the freezer walls, not always though, but then you fully electrify those kind of walls further up, Zoto them, deny time that way. That hasn't really worked out the way that they wanted, and it seems to be they're going for a bit more fluid of a setup here. In fact, so fluid that Spirits will bring the Solus and in all likelihood play for the late round to anticipating Shopify will try to get in, go for a plant, and he can play down below, rat or otherwise, and deny it without Specchio Scanner.
Come on, Specchio Scanner, and you don't want people to think you're the human version of the nerd emoji?
That's a callback. I don't think anybody even knows what that's referencing.
A former pro player heard Link's casting in very, very early days and said that Link's sounded like the human version of the nerd emoji.
And was this person wrong?
No, it was
No.
actually it was a devastating insult because of the accuracy. Either way,
Hey.
Specchio Scanner, come on.
Hey, it's not my fault. I know the gadgets in the game I work for, or the game I work in. I don't work for Rainbow Six Siege. That's not possible.
I mean, it is possible. You could. Well, I guess you work for Ubisoft. Never mind. You don't, though.
Point being.
Surf's on 14 kills. Spoit's being very mortal, but look at that. High impact frags, right? There goes Spirits. It's a run out from Nafe as he toys with that garage door down by delivery. Down goes NJR. Citizen has the only kill for DZ this round. He'll find a second on to Ambi. Ambi's been human cannon fodder so far through Cafe. Down goes Rexon as well, now at the hands of Pambazoo. As these teams just come to blows. We still have 1 minute and 10 seconds left. There are 4 people alive in this server. If you like high octane Siege, you must be loving this series. From a commentator perspective, I'm loving it too. Don't love the fact that I have to reserve my voice a little bit, given that I work 5 days in a row. I'd be far more animated weren't that the case, but still give the match the energy it deserves. And right now, it's a lot of high energy and a lot of, why did that happen? The desk has to solve that question. For us, we're just along for the ride. 35 seconds remain. Shopify Rebellion could go to series point with a victory here.
Could very well do it with Surf being alive at 14 and 4. Minimal ability for Dark Zero to deny a plant this late in the game. Well, sorry, deny it vertically like they intended. They still very well could do it, especially with the Vulcan pack. Oh no. Surf gets 1 kill, and it might be the most important one so far. As while he gets Nafe, he takes down his support. So content to do it on his own, but now he's got to plant or find the kill. And it seems that he will be forced to watch Pambazoo creep closer and take him down in the process. Surf, who's been so good on this attack side, makes a fumble right towards the end and gives Dark Zero away back in.
Imagine if Spoit had lived. Surf gets the immediate follow-up kill. He sends his smoke out. He can plant in a completely different area and have Spoit watch either in or near the smoke to fake out Pambazoo, who guessed properly, but didn't have information exactly as to the whereabouts of the final player on Shopify Rebellion. And honestly, Surf, with such a valiant effort, he's really doing it all. Just as we said with Spoit in the previous, in the previous 2 matches, Spoit is not to blame for a potential loss. Same could be said for Surf. A nice read by Pambazoo, and we are back at a 5-5 score line. Map 1, 5-5. Map 2, 5-5. Map 3, 5-5. And guess what? Shopify Rebellion has won every single one of these rounds. The 11th round is theirs. Do they do it again? His 3rd time. A charm.
10 seconds left.
It might. It very well might with a moment
5
like that.
seconds remaining.
That doesn't obviously, that individually does not necessarily have any impact on any round after, unless it has some drastic mental chalking effect, which I don't think it had. But it's one of those moments in the narrative arc of a game that you look back on and you're like, oh man, they really had it. And that was just such a massive fumble. We don't really have, We know exactly why that game ended the way it did, because you can see they just lost the Mandate of Heaven. Now we don't know if that'll occur, as especially on a site like basement, or well, I guess first floor, you have a lot of time to get set up as Shopify. Most times, 9 times out of the 10, the defense is not pushing all that aggressively. Usually, if there's somebody on the top floor, I was about to say, it's going to be a Vigil who's solo roaming. Will Spoit be able to find this kill? He will not, as it seemed they're operating with a little less intel, excuse me. What the hell? Ambi with a lightning fast flick onto Spirits inside a train. Losing to Selma's rough for a Vigil. Dark Zero come out the better for that trade. What a flashy way to bring the man advantage back.
Absolutely turns him into dust. Just a mist of red. And Spirits is gone. Spirits yet again leading his team in deaths. Coming into today, fewest deaths on DZ. Every single map, he has died the most. Again, I don't know if they've changed his deployment and maybe put him in a more roam or forefront position, but that is not a spot you want to be in. You don't want to be the guy dying the most. Still, he's provided pretty intense value. He had some excellent rounds in map number 2 that allowed DZ to get to a point where they made OT. Remember, SR has been basically unbeatable in these rounds. Lynx, what is this? What? Excuse me, a clown car of Dark Zero players emerging from the building. It looks like, yeah, it will be 3 for 3. NJR, the last man being hunted down by DZ. Shopify Rebellion need a single kill to move to series points. Surf will get it. 1 round away from a date with OXG.
Shopify's the 3rd series point of the night so far, and they have not always been sufficient to get the job done. They closed out Nighthaven 7-5, but then lose it on map 2, and then end up losing that on Chalet 8-7 against DZ. Starting off right there, well, that shot between Spirits and Andy were both extremely nice. But one interesting difference that is a big impact of something we didn't really talk about, which is Shopify's Tubarao ban. Obviously, it was part of Dark Zero's strategy to run based off the denial on the top floor, but typically what we will see on Kitchen, that's the first time we've seen that site, is a Tubarao playing in that spot. And that Tubarao will throw Zoto canisters on the corner of the wall because, I don't know, let's just say hypothetically, a Shield decided to walk or run down White Stairs up the hallway and try to immediately turn that corner and pressure the player in VIP. The Zotos would slow down that push and make it basically impossible for the Shield player to actually push past. Because Shopify Rebellion banned the Tubarao, Canadians able to do that and able to take it down.
Attacker's objective is to
Now we also have a clown car run out after that, and I don't really know what to say there. But on the part I do, that's what I can give. Shopify Rebellion now on match point, and we'll see if Dark Zero can claw it back.
I just want to see what happened in the lead up to that. I want to know what happened. Why do 2 of you go out? Unless it was for a double swing to try and trade, which fair enough, but at that point, that's a huge risk for the position that you're in. I suppose when you're down by 1, you have to take those gambles, but both of these teams have shown that they make mistakes. OXG has been a force, a real force to be reckoned with through this stage of the NA League. And they are likely watching this match with some glee on their face, because if any of these 3 maps show up in the matchup, whether it be OXG playing Dark Zero or Shopify Rebellion, they're going to have some pretty obvious things that they can do to their opponents. Whether they watch back the VOD, whether they watch back the replay, whether they just watch the broadcast right now, OXG might be pretty happy with what we're seeing between these 2 teams.
When Surf's 18-5 and you decide to put him on Dokkaebi, here's the opening pick. Ready and waiting. Spirits has no idea. We might have an idea somebody's down below, but oh my god, and there's 2 of them. He gets 1 so easily, and now there's the Echo here too. Nafe might be aware, but Surf can just bide his time, hang out here, and even if he gets the trade, they'll know that there's an Echo down below. Here's it in the process, as again, they're setting up for a double swing, and while they find it, the Echo dies too, and yet still somehow they're holding on.
Panbazoo and Citizen are last two standing. DZ's hopes rest in them. Panbazoo is in the grave. Citizen and Dark Zero have 1 foot in it too. All 3 remaining players of Shopify Rebellion have had different stories today. Spoit has been bar none their best player, but he's taken a back seat, allowing Surf to break 20 kills in just this map alone. A career game for Surf, a huge game for Surf. And boy, has he risen to the occasion. Citizen staving off defeat for the time being. Almost got spotted by White Stairs. DZ pin their hopes on their newest player. He's tremendous, and they line up for him, but his bullets only take down 1. Shopify Rebellion punch their ticket to play OXG 1 step closer to guaranteeing a spot at the Munich Major.
And I can't believe I'm saying that Shopify had to beat DZ to qualify in a match against OXG, and OXG might still be the favorites. Today, Shopify, they looked better, but I think you can see how Canadian is still kind of breaking down and triaging some of the issues we saw in that game. That is a beatable Shopify, a good Shopify, but one that was very top-heavy, reliant on big performances from Spoit to get them through maps 1 and 2, and only win 1 of those, might I add. This is a Shopify that has weaknesses, same with Dark Zero, and I can tell you that that game against OXG is going to be a banger. But that's Shopify against DZ, that's Parker, and I done for today. We'll have the desk right up after this.